all of you. We're expecting about 100 people here. And as I was saying, this workshop is a really important workshop with ambitious goals. And it is one of two workshops that are going to take place this week, one in Accra and one in Kumasi, all under the UKGCC's Grand Challenge, basically focusing on innovation and economic growth. We basically, I think, in terms of the big idea behind the Grand Challenge, which is, not your typical challenge, and I don't remember the last time I actually saw anything of this sort being pushed by private sector. It really is critical as we try to catch up to some of the countries that are speeding ahead of us. And the main, I think, plan behind the Grand Challenge is basically to identify innovative solutions that are solving real-world problems within two key sectors: agriculture and energy. Kindly keep that in mind. Now, the challenge itself will be rolled out from between April, that's next month, to July, where applications will be taken, applications will be shortlisted, there will be pitch competitions actually, and then some lucky few would end up getting a chance to take part in the UK roadshow. So if you're here, I've spoken to some of the participants, a lot of people are excited to connect and network and possibly be on the plane to the UK to do the roadshow, to possibly meet some investors and some partners. So my name is Bobby Osei. I'll be the MC for today's program. I'll be coming to you, with the mic, asking you to, ask a question or two. Especially if you don't, keep an eye contact. That's exactly what I'll do. So keep looking at me. Yeah. So now the two workshops, the first one in Accra and the other one in Kumasi, are supposed to be precursors to this challenge, which says what is more than just a competition. And what these workshops are supposed to do are supposed to basically focus on the importance of innovation. Innovation is not a word you hear a lot around these parts, but it's supposed to focus on innovation and economic growth, particularly on how policy within our space can, help create an innovation-friendly, environment. Now, one may ask, why innovation? Well, I would say that if you look at literature, back then, innovation was seen as an advantage. So countries like Israel, South Korea, the US, Switzerland, Sweden, you can name them, were known for innovating and then basically growing their economies, improving the lives of their citizens. But now, the train is moving fast and we are still walking. I don't know if you're walking or, hopping. We really need to treat it as a necessity if we want to catch up, if we want to create more jobs, if we want to, improve, basically the living standards, of our teeming youth. And Ghana really is a youthful population. Now, if you do, we're expecting about 100 people here. If you do a survey, okay, if you can go out, about 70% of us are between the ages of, I think, 0 to 35. A pretty youthful population there. That means that we are primed with ideas, primed with the possibility to turn this country into an innovation hub. The AFCFTA is also coming up within that context. Ghana is well placed to take advantage of its positives to, become the hub within the ecosystem to, drive innovation. But it does not happen. Innovation just doesn't happen. It needs policy, it needs an enabling environment and the likes to be able to flourish. Well, enough said. Just basically wanted to set the stage and invite the leader of the team behind this wonderful, wonderful program, the executive director of the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, if she's ready, Madame Ajoba Chama. A round of applause for her. If we can. There you go.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to welcome all of you to today's workshop. It's, as our MC said, it's a very important workshop and it's a precursor to the Grand Challenge, which will actually run from April to July. I would like to use the opportunity to say a little bit about the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, who we are and what we stand for. So as our name suggests, We were established to promote and help grow trade between the UK and Ghana. And our work is based on three main pillars. Networking, which involves encouraging our member companies to network with each other and also with their key stakeholders. We also undertake advocacy for our member companies to ensure that we help create a more enabling business environment, which translates into a more enabling business environment for the private sector in Ghana. We also offer trade services, and so today's workshop would come under that. Under that, we have capacity building. We do market introductory services for UK companies looking to set up in Ghana, as well as Ghanaian businesses looking to do business in the UK. We offer business matchmaking. We undertake research, due diligence, and a whole lot of things. My colleagues are here today with me. Please say wave. Walasi, Pearl, Immaculata, there's Sarah Lade, Shegid, and Jessica in the back. Ladies, you can talk to them later if you want to know more about how you can join our network and utilize our services. Now to the UKGCC Grand Challenge. It is a unique initiative that aims to foster innovation in agriculture and energy, as we've already heard. It will provide a platform for entrepreneurs and industry experts to develop practical solutions to key sector challenges as mentioned. Applicants will collaborate with industry leaders, academics, and key stakeholders to refine their challenge statements and align their innovations with real-world needs. Shortlisted applicants will receive mentorship and guidance from these industry leaders, access to UKGCC's extensive business network, and an opportunity to pitch for a spot in the UK Roadshow, offering international exposure and investment opportunities. This initiative is part of the Sankori program, a UK government-backed effort under the West Africa Research and Innovation Hub, which supports scalable innovation in West Africa and beyond. Today's workshop will help us understand the challenges and opportunities in the agriculture and energy sectors, identify the support available to turn innovative ideas into commercial solutions, and at the same time, equip participants with the tools and insights needed to develop strong, competitive proposals for the Grand Challenge, which we have said is coming up in April. It is therefore not just a discussion, it is a working session. I encourage all the participants to engage with each other, exchange ideas, build valuable connections, take advantage of the master classes that would follow this session this morning, the resources and expert guidance available today. Refine your concepts and develop strong investment-ready proposals. I look forward to fruitful deliberations today and seeing groundbreaking solutions emerge from this morning's process, and to working together to drive innovation and growth in Ghana's agriculture and energy sectors. So welcome once again, and thank you for your time.
Networking, advocacy, and trade services, that's what the UKGCC stands for. So if you're a business looking to get into the UK, or UK business looking to expand into the Ghanaian market, the place to be is the UKGCC, headed by the Executive Director, Madame Adjobachiam. A round of applause for her again. Now, our next speaker, his name is William Kofi Hunt. William Kofi Hunt. Yes, he is, I think, works within the agriculture space across the value chain, basically focused on improving the fortunes of farmers. I believe offering very basic agriculture services. And he's been in the country for over, I think, 9 years. 9 years. And so basically, if you're here and you're within our Greek value chain, and you're looking to find ways of being profitable, being innovative, the person to speak to will be this man I'm about to introduce. So with a round of applause, please let's welcome up front Mr. William Kofi Hunt.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is William Kofi Hunt. I'm the country manager for Demeter Ghana, and I'm the sector head for agriculture and agribusiness at the UKGCC. And here I'm going to talk a bit about the agriculture sector, go through some challenges, some opportunities, and some innovations existing within the space. Ghana's agricultural landscape is dominated by smallholder farmers, with over 90% of farm holdings being less than 2 hectares in size. That's about 3 football pitches. So in terms, compared to global averages, the average holding of a farmer in Ghana is quite small. Yet it's estimated that these farmers produce over 90% of the food that we consume here in Ghana. Then we have a handful of large-scale plantations and a growing number of commercial farms. And over the last decade, we've seen significant shifts. More moves towards commercialization, a greater adoption of improved seeds, fertilizers, mechanization by farmers. However, in Ghana, overall productivity remains low compared to global benchmarks. For major staples like maize, rice, and cassava, average yields fall well below global averages. Here in Ghana, our global average maize yield is around 1.8 tons per hectare, compared with the global average of 5.6. So that's 3 times higher than what we get in Ghana. Now, this is a central challenge, one that limits food security, competitiveness, and the viability of agro-processing. Even where yields are improving, our post-harvest losses are high, meaning a significant portion of what is grown never makes it to market. As a result, we are not just growing too little, we're also losing too much. And Ghanaian farmers face persistent challenges. Climate change is making weather patterns increasingly unpredictable and increasing pest burdens. Access to irrigation is limited. Especially for farmers in remote areas, access to market is difficult. The lack of throughput for our agro-processing facilities further constrains the value chain, often resulting in these factories and plants shutting down due to a lack of consistent supply, a story which we're all familiar with from the news. Ghanaian producers are also undercut by cheap imports, particularly maize and rice, which make it difficult for the local farmers to compete. Land tenure issues continue to discourage long-term investment, and added to this, the recent impacts of illegal mining, or galamsey, which degrades land and water systems, further threatening agricultural productivity and our environment. It's clear that increasing the profitability of farmers is a key to discouraging this land abandonment and to protect our agricultural and environmental future. Despite these challenges, Ghana's agriculture sector holds immense potential. With the right tools, policies, and partnerships, we can close the yield gap and create a more resilient, equitable, and productive system. And at the same time, we must reflect honestly on scale. While smallholder farmers remain the backbone of rural livelihoods and will always be part of our future, we must also invest in a new generation of commercially viable farms. Farms that can mechanize, that can irrigate, that can reliably supply processors and export markets. Ghana's average farm size remains just over 1 hectare. This limits our ability to benefit from economies of scale in production, processing, and logistics. If we want agro-processing to thrive, if we want rural youth to see farming as a business, then we must enable scale, not at the expense of smallholders, but alongside them. Now, the company I work at, Demeter Ghana, was founded with a simple mission: to improve access to high-quality agricultural inputs, to make farmers more productive and more profitable. We specialize in the importation and distribution of fertilizers, seeds, and crop protection products. Our network spans the entire country, and we work closely with a broad range of stakeholders, from NGOs to smallholder farmers, agri-dealers, farmer-based organizations, up to the large-scale plantations. And at the heart of our model is accessibility. We understand that for many smallholder farmers, the barrier is not a lack of a willingness to invest, but a lack of affordable, appropriate products that they need to increase their yields. For example, Ghana's average fertilizer use is estimated around 25 kilograms per hectare, compared to a global average of over 135. So while fertilizer use is now common, it's well below the optimum levels. And it's not just about using more, it's about using the right nutrients in the right quantities for the specific crop and soil type. One important point I want to make before I go further is that innovation doesn't always mean invention. At Demeter, we don't claim to be inventing entirely new agricultural technologies. What we're doing is introducing proven products and practices widely used in other developed agricultural systems and making them work for Ghanaian farmers. Our role is to contextualize and scale these solutions so that they're accessible, relevant, and impactful. Our core contribution is identifying the key barriers to farmer productivity and then sourcing, trialing, and introducing the agricultural inputs that can help close Ghana's yield gap. And our work begins on the ground. We engage with farmers, agronomists, and stakeholders to understand what are the constraints holding productivity back. Then through trials with our partners and on our own test farm, we bring in the tools that address these constraints in a practical, scalable way. One example is Calcipril, a granulated lime fertilizer that we introduced over 10 years ago. Soil acidity affects over half of Ghana's cultivated land. It locks up nutrients and it limits growth. By correcting soil pH, we make soil nutrients more available, reducing fertilizer inefficiencies and lowering the carbon footprint of farming. For example, trials conducted by the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana showed a yield increase of 70% in cocoa versus unfertilized plots. A second example is we also lead the market in bringing biological inoculants for soybean to scale. Using live bacteria that are applied to the seed, we enhance the plant's ability to fix nitrogen. For just 60 Ghana cedis per acre, across thousands of farmers, we've seen an average yield increase of over 20%, with some farmers achieving double yields, delivering outsized returns on investments for these farmers. Finally, we work hard to promote soil testing as a foundation for precision agriculture. Too often, fertilizers are applied based on blanket recommendations, but nutrient needs vary widely depending on crop type, soil type, and location. For instance, a farmer's land may have sufficient nitrogen, and they're wasting money by applying more. Soil testing reveals this information to them and enables the right nutrients to be applied in the right quantities, which improves their efficiency, improves their yields, means they have more profit, and the environment is protected. Across these examples, our role is clear. Identify the constraints, introduce the right tools, and work side by side with farmers to achieve real, measurable impact. There are many technology innovators already established within the sector, and I know we have a few here in the audience who we're going to hear from soon, and I look forward to hearing how their solutions are working towards solving some of these problems. For now, I'd like to highlight two other case studies. The first is called IAGROW by IAData. It's an AI-powered crop and field management platform that brings precision agriculture to both plantations and smallholders. IAGROW combines satellite imagery, drone data, machine learning models to deliver real-time geospatial insights at both the macro scale and at the individual tree level via intuitive dashboards. Many large-scale farms in Ghana, including plantations over 10,000 hectares, still rely on manual crop planting using paper-based reporting and clipboards. You can imagine what a huge job that is. IAGROW digitalizes these processes, providing accurate data on crop health, inventory, yield forecasting, and so much more. This unlocks massive efficiencies for plantations, reduces their losses, and improves the speed at which they can make decisions on the farm level. It also holds immense potential for smallholders, offering macro-level visibility into issues like disease outbreaks, nutrient deficiencies, and climate-related risks. By integrating these with cooperatives, mills, and agribusinesses, the platform can help track crop performance across disaggregated and fragmented farms, providing early warning systems and enabling mills, for example, to know how much produce they should be expecting. Another innovation that brings knowledge directly to the farmer is the virtual agronomist, which is based out of the UK and active in East Africa and now coming to West Africa. It's a service embedded within WhatsApp, like a chatbot, that combines GPS location data of farmer fields and establish soil maps to offer fertilizer recommendations tailored to local conditions. It also offers agronomic advice, disease identification support, and optimizes the fertilizer recommendation for farmer profitability. In a country like Ghana, where we have around 2,000 extension agents for over 10 million farmers, tools like this can help close the advisory gap and scale agronomic knowledge far beyond what traditional systems can reach. Closing the knowledge gap certainly will narrow the yield gap. From Demeter's perspective, the sector-wide challenges discussed earlier play out in very practical ways. Currency depreciation has made importing goods more expensive and unpredictable, a truth for many sectors. High logistic costs and poor infrastructures delay deliveries to our last-mile customers. And even when we help farmers increase yields, post-harvest losses remain high, meaning the value is lost before it can be captured. The limited use of irrigation makes input performance vulnerable to rainfall patterns, while weak market linkages and inconsistent aggregation make it hard for farmers to sell at fair prices. Access to credit remains a structural barrier. Many farmers and agribusinesses want to grow but lack the capital to do so. This often forces companies like Demeter to step in as informal lenders in place of banks. It's not just about being able to purchase inputs, it's about enabling farmers to access the right inputs and to get them when they need them. In rain-fed agriculture, you need to ensure that your timing is right. Without, they are forced to compromise on both quality and timing. With limited uptake of agricultural insurance, farmers remain overly exposed to risk, making investment even harder to justify. This brings me to the real-world challenge that I'd like us all to discuss today. How do we deliver affordable, low-risk input financing at scale for farmers in Ghana? Imagine a system that links farmers, suppliers, financial institutions, agronomic data. A farmer receives inputs on credit tied to real productivity data and weather forecasts. Repayment could be collected post-harvest based on actual yields. Such a model could unlock access for the millions of smallholder farmers who currently face cash flow bottlenecks at the start of every season, which is where we are now in the year. The opportunity is clear. If we can combine what companies like Demeter do with tools that support timely finance and tailored recommendations, we can dramatically increase productivity and profitability for farmers. This is the kind of challenge that today's workshop is designed to solve. And I encourage everyone in the room to come together and see what solutions we can come up with. And finally, Demeter is ready to partner. So let's not just talk about ideas, let's pilot. If you have something that you think may be a solution, come and find me afterwards and we can experiment and test it together. Okay, in closing, I just want to reiterate our commitment to building a more productive and inclusive, resilient agricultural system. Let's continue working together, government, private sector, innovators, farmers. And
amazing. So that's the country manager for Demeter Holdings, Mr. William Kofi Hunt. A round of applause for him one more time. Thank you. I actually asked him if his name, he's been in Ghana for 9 years, and he was like, Kofi is actually his local name. So with respect to your proposal for innovation, we have the right man to actually provide the answer in the room here with us. Our next speaker is actually from the Ministry of Agric. He is the Chief Commercial Officer, Mr. Kofi Addo, and he's representing the Minister of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. So without much ado, let's welcome him up here with a round of applause.
First, special greetings from the Ministry to UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce and all the partners who are making this special day. Kofi, it is saying, in Ghana, a dear Johnny Pan Alpe. A dear Johnny Pan Alpe. Fufu. Now, Fufu, no, a dear innovation, a bit in the Iron will be. Kofi, you are doing well. And you have touched on all the things. So I'm just going to re-echo some of the few things that Kofi have said. You'll recall that at the beginning of this year, the president has given a new mandate to the Ministry of Trade. It used to be called the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Now, Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. The emphasis is on agribusiness. And the reason is just all the issues that Kofi has talked about. Since our first president's time to this today, our major issue confronting the nation is how to produce, to feed the country, and also to feed the industries. And he has talked about the smallholder farmers. They are good. They are doing very well. But if we continue to depend on the smallholder farmers, it means we are not going anywhere. Let me give you a typical example. You remember us at 2017 to 20 last year, we were doing the one district, one factory, that we were able to capture not less than 321 companies across the 261 districts in Ghana. Out of this, we have 123 of them in the agro-business sector, agribusiness. So from value chains, from cashew to cassava to ethanol, from cassava to other gari or processed high-quality cassava flour. We are talking about pineapple to pineapple juice. We are talking about people being innovative. Under the 1D, 1F, we had companies that were using bamboo and to turn the bamboo into tissue papers. And it is happening right now. And then we have other sectors. But the key issue that confronted us from 2018, 2019, as the company started working, is the raw materials. It's sometimes so disheartening. You go to a company, sometimes I want to even mention them, Sinostone in Japan, doing cassava processing into ethanol. You go there during the major season, they are producing very well. But after the major season, the machine is shut down. And this has been the bane for the country over the years. So if we are talking about agribusiness, then the emphasis is that we want to move from the smallholder farmers to what Kofi talked about, commercial contract farming. When I talk about these things, I have so many examples. I remember at the time, we wanted to, the Pualugu tomato factory, Northern Star. At the time, there was a company in the free zones called Trusty Food that was doing the processing. And Trusty Food was doing so well that we were exporting to Nigeria. And the Nigerians during Obasanjo's time, the Nigerian private sector said there's no way that Ghana could produce such tomato paste to feed Nigeria. So they have to send people to come and see where the raw materials, the tomato, was coming from. By that time, we have started the Pualugu tomato factory, which has been refurbished, and we were able to introduce a 20 metric tons per day for the old one that was built during Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's time. So we needed to go to the north to mop up tomato, fresh tomato, to feed Pualugu, to produce the paste for which it was being sent to Tema for the processing to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, in the morning, whilst I was sleeping in my hotel around 4:30, I will get a call from some of the farmers. Mr. Ado, where are you? I said, I'm in my hotel. Doing what? I said, we are preparing to come to the market to mop up the tomatoes. I said, okay. By the time you get here by 5 a.m., all the tomatoes are off to Kumasi, Takrade by the middlemen and middlewomen. And by the time we get to the farm gate, the trucks were leaving. 5:30 a.m., they have gone to mop up the tomatoes. What are we going to use for the factory? So sometimes when you begin to hear some farmers and other people crying, yes, there's a bumper harvest, but there's no price. You need to understand what goes on in the ecosystem. At the farm gate, when the buyers from Kumasi, Takrady, and Kumasi come, they are paying cash. And to the farmer, after he has sweated for all these hours, all that he's looking for is his money. And then he's also not looking for his money, he's also looking for prompt payment. Apart from that, because there's competition among us, the company, and then the tomato sellers in Kumasi and other places, definitely they were prepared to top up. But if you are processing 20 metric tons per day, there's a gap that you can give. If you cross that baseline, you are dead. So this has been one of the major issues. So going forward, this is what we want to do in collaboration with Ministry of Agri, to make sure that we partner the private sector people to get people who move from what Kofi was talking about, 1 to 2 hectares, to at least 5,000 hectares and above. Commercial farming, mechanized farming. And then the ministry and the Ministry of Agri are going to support you with the key inputs. So when we are talking about mechanized farming, we are not going to depend on the rain-fed. We have to be intentional and make sure that we have the irrigational systems that are built to support this. So these are some of the game changers that is going to run our agribusiness sector. 2, apart from even getting the mechanized farming to produce, at what quality? I got to know so many things about the tomato. And so I'm going back to the tomato. The tomato seed or the fresh tomato that you see, there's something in it that for industries, you have to get it to make sure that it gives you more paste. And that is called the brine, the tomato brine. So when you go to the processing line, they have to test it. If it is above 5 to 6% on the machine, then it means that it has a high quality of the paste. If it is below from 3, 4, 5, 2, then it means that you need more to be able to get the paste. So these are some of the things we need to address. We are not just producing for producing sake, but at what quality? And this is something that we are also going to address to make sure that we have high quality seeds that will be able to produce to turn our agriculture sector around. In Ghana, Kofi also touched about something. We can see from this room, everybody here, maybe except 5 or 10 of us, are above 50. The rest are all youth. Kofi, the World Bank and all the Bretton Woods institutions are telling us from 2035 going, the whole world, the African population of the youth is going to dominate, beating that of India and China. So whether we like it or not, from 2035, it is already happening. In Ghana, Nigeria, in all the other places, the youth is taking over. Once the youth is taking over, then innovation is the key word. I remember George Bush Sr. one time saying something that the day America refuses to innovate, America dies. The day America refuses to innovate, America dies. If you want to just suppose this to Ghana, what will you say? I want one innovator to say something. If you want to just suppose, then it means that we have to, is it leapfrog? Whatever we have to do, we have to do. In 2010, I was in Japan for a program. In Japanese program, it is just like the one district, one factory. They call it OVOP. One village, one product. And we have went to Kyushu, one of the remotest part of Japan, in a village. And they gave me a product. Immediately they gave me the product. They also gave me a mobile phone. They said, you scan the barcode and see what is there. So I used my mobile phone, scan it, everything about the product. The day the product was manufactured, agricultural produce. So if it is contumely, that has been packaged. There's a packaging on the contumely, but there's a bar. And then once you put your mobile phone, it gives you everything about the product. The farm gate where that product was produced. The farmer who is producing that contumely, and then the life cycle, the expiry date, everything is there. 2010. So immediately I came back, I told Ghana Standard Authority and some of the people that we should be, we have to do so many things. Some of the products coming on in the market, we don't need so many people. We should be able to have some, what do you call it, platforms or other mobile phones that you can scan and immediately it can give you everything about the product. I know some of the innovators have done this and it is ongoing. But if we want to leapfrog and to make sure that Ghana attains the middle income status economy that we all aspire, by the way, if we want to become a middle income status, it means we have to grow in double digits. Now we are growing 5%, 4%, 7%. But if we want to become a high middle income status, it means we have to grow 12, 13, 14, 15. And it is always said that the services sector, which is now driving the economy, is doing well. But it is not the sector that will take us where we want to be. The agriculture sector, which is also doing well, has to do more. But the sector that anchors all of this is the industrial sector. Because the more we begin to add value, and now I don't want to even say add value. The research is now showing us that we should look for value extension. So let me give you an example. I was talking about a company in Afram Plains called Denka, doing cassava to ethanol. As part of the processing of the ethanol, they found out that they can also capture carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is a major ingredient into all the beverages. So we are not looking at the value addition to ethanol, but we are looking at value extension to carbon dioxide. You heard about a confit juice, the pineapple juice. It was just using the pineapple to produce the juice. It took about 4 Kwame Nkrumah science students. They came there for research. And they were there, they saw the waste. And if you are a researcher, you should always be, your senses should be talking. And they could sense and smell some alcohol from the waste. So they took some of the sample and they went to research on it. And this is also going to be a value extension for a confit. A confit is not just doing the pineapple, it's now going to do a confit pineapple beer. Value extension. So innovators, I'm here to challenge you. The market is so wild. The market is so big. We have Esoko, the farmlands, and other. I also saw one, tractor, and other providers. You are doing well. But where we are going, we need you to support us. For us as policymakers, one thing we can do is that we will build a sustainable business environment to drive all these things, innovations you are doing. So I stand here to also support the program that we are doing today and to urge you, the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, our doors are open. If you have any innovative product in our agribusiness value chain, please come. After here, I'll give my number. Come, let's sit down. I was talking to a company in Insuta. They are doing maize grits. And I was telling them, I saw this at Kagel. I went there for a visit. It was a masterpiece. Because if you want to meet the European market and other markets, you have to be up there. I was talking to the Kagel. If you visit there, you will see a map with all the dots, electrical dots. Each one of them, they are able to pinpoint where the cocoa produce is coming from. Like Kofi said, whether the cocoa produce is coming from a Galamsey area or not. So per Kagel sustainability program, if it is coming from a Galamsey area, it's no. So they are able to use innovation and they are able to use such platforms developed by innovators here to drive the economy. This is where we are going. The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry is more ready to partner with you. Ministry of Agric is already in the boat. Ministry of Science, Environment is also doing their work. Ministry of Education is also part of it. Please, let's talk. Let's see how we can unlock some of these opportunities to make sure that we will be able to turn Ghana's economy around. I always say that Ghana is the only country that I have. Look at what is happening around the globe. And nobody can tell you that it is better for us to join hands together to build a better place like Ghana. And we can do it. And that is where I want to challenge you. Innovators are not born. They are made. They are made because of the environment. They are made because they see challenges and they want to open up. I'm ending with this. I was told that Einstein was in a plane traveling with somebody, and he wanted to prove to the person that he is a top scientist. And the guy sitting by him, he told him that I'm going to give you a quiz. If you're able to get the answer, I'll give you 500. If you don't get it, you pay me $5. The guy said, okay. And then Einstein, a scientist, he told him, do you know the pressure in the plane as we are flying? The guy looked at him and he just gave him the $5. And then he said, your question. He said, what animal, when it is climbing a mountain, it has 3 legs, but when it is coming down, it has 4 legs? This one was not physics. This one was not chemistry. This one was not biology. Einstein did everything that he did, and he just gave the man 500. And then the man just blindfolded, he took his blindfolded this and just went to sleep. Einstein felt that he has been cheated. 5 to 500. He said, at least I've given you 500. You should tell me which animal goes to the mountain with the 3 legs. When it comes back, it has 4 legs. The man just took $5 and just gave it to him. On this note, I am done.
My name is George Majite, and I'm the CEO of GEM Industrial Solutions. We are a drone as a service company with market emphasis in agriculture, and we're actually looking to bring drone technology, drone extension services to the community level through our patented enterprise solution. My first question is, we are here to speak on innovation, but as an indigenous company with innovative solution, my question is, how do we navigate this hurdle that we have here in Ghana, whereby when you bring an innovative solution to the government that you see will fit a certain need, you're either forced to compromise your values, to say the least, or your solution is... I think we understand. Or you are forced out where your solution, your idea is taken. And I don't say this, with it not being a warranted concern, because as a person in the tech ecosystem, I know people who have faced this challenge. Their ideas have been taken, or if they don't want to play the game. So, how can we, as an indigenous company with an innovative solution that we can see will meet and fit a need, navigate this if you say we want to promote innovation? That's my first question. My second question also goes to this conversation on commercialization. I met a senior gentleman some months ago and was discussing with him about what we are doing, and he also brought up the commercialization aspect and the fact that there are countries, the Middle East for instance, that are ready with their sovereign funds to support on-the-ground commercialization on large scales, for farming. But of course, the challenge once again becomes land tenure and having large swaths of land for this purpose. So before we can move to commercialization, there's this root issue that we need to address, and I want to know what is being done in order to facilitate the support of these foreign nations, even to support indigenous individuals, youth, whatever the case might be, wanting to get into the commercial farming space. So those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
So the first one, how sometimes your ideas are being stolen and sometimes people just take it from you. I am privy to some of these things. It hurts and it also kills innovation. But I also have something, I don't know whether it's my background or my Christian principles. Something that God has given to you, nobody can kill it. Nobody. They can steal it, But because they are not the originator of the dream, even when it comes to the implementation, they don't know how to fit it. I'm privy to one. That's why I'm talking the way I'm talking. If you have a special project that you want to, and then you can let me know which ministry that assists, please, I'm more than ready to handhold you to go. I will give you my number. This is what I can do. Because I'm a government official, and sometimes I know what goes on. Let's end it here. We will talk about it. But I'm talking to all innovators. And then, you see, let me put it this way. Sometimes when you come to us as policy makers, we are not innovators. You are innovators. We are policy, driving policy. But the whole thing is that we need to understand what you are bringing on board and how it's going to also translate or support what we are doing. If there's a case for it, there's no way that will run away from you. We were talking about the agribusiness, what you just told me. My background is agri-economist. I was challenged when somebody sat me down and said, Kofi, we have always been talking about value addition. Have you looked at value extension? I said, wow, value extension. Where are we going? I said, no, value addition is the first layer. Let's look at the next layer. And that is where the money is. That's why when I was talking, I said that that's where we are going. The people who have the sovereign funds and the people who are willing to come with their money to do the thing. One key thing that we are doing, like you rightly said, land tenure system. So what we have done as a ministry right now is to identify big stretches of land around the Afram Basin. As I'm speaking to you now, my minister, by next week, we are going to the Afram to engage the chiefs, to make sure that not just they are just going to give us the land, they can also use the land as equity holding so that it can transform the life of the people there. We have to be innovative. I was in India. We went to a place called Pune. We were doing private sector assessment. When we went to Pune, Pune was a rice growing area. It took one guy who got there and said, what is the difference between this land and the land in New York or Tokyo? He said, it's because of the value that is placed on the land. So, okay, rice is our staple food. If I move the farmers and then I begin to work with Microsoft and others, I can put value on this land. Now, Pune has become one of the incubation centers in India with all the software developers. When he started, the farmers were hesitant. Now, after Microsoft came in, they move. And then now they even have a university, and then the people who are now farmers have been turned into skills and Microsoft and software developers. The land in Ghana is the same thing anywhere. It's the value that we place on the land. So I can assure you, those people, if you have any of the contacts, let's talk. We can handhold them so that we can give them a big tract of land to do the commercial farming.
Okay, so, if there are no further questions, a very big round of applause for Mr. Kofi Addo there. He's done an amazing job. So good. So, a very exciting part of today's workshop is the master classes. We have a number of master classes on intellectual property, like you're saying, your ideas being stolen, master classes on commercialization, master classes on investor readiness. I mean, depending on the idea you have, how ready are you for investors? I mean, how or scalable are your ideas? And there will also be a live pitch session as well. So if you want to find out how well to pitch your ideas in a convincing manner, in a manner that would get the investors actually getting their monies to you, then please note that right after the panel discussion and the fireside chat, we'll get into that. We'll bring some sheets around, so whichever masterclass you're interested in, you sign against that and also provide your details, so that when the time comes, you will go. We have we'll have some sessions upstairs, Sharegate. We'll have some sessions upstairs, and also there'll be the live pitch session here. So the sheets will be coming around, and get ready for that. Well, I think at this point in time, we will need to go into the key discussion of the day, which will be the panel discussion. And tap into a remark that Mr. Kofi Addo made. The fact that currently we are growing in single digits, and it's important that if we want to get to a place where we are producing enough exporting, we might as well produce in double digits. The last report I read from the IMF, the World Economic Outlook report in January, basically said the world economic growth should hit around 3.3% this year. Sub-Saharan Africa, we should be hovering around 4.1, 4.2%, and Ghana should be hovering around 4%. But is that enough? Like the man said, no, definitely no, we need to grow in double digits. And to facilitate that, we will certainly need policies that enable passionate youths like ourselves to be able to bring our innovative ideas to fore and also to scale them. So to help us with the panel discussion, I'd like to bring out some key personalities, some great businessmen. I know, some of them, I don't know all of them. I'll start off with Mr. Sakib Nazer. If you can take your seats, 5 seats, you can choose where you want to sit. Please, a round of applause for him. We would ask them all to introduce themselves, so don't worry. We also have Madame Claire Joanne Turner. If she is here, she can kindly take a seat with us. I think I saw her around. Yes. A round of applause for her as she comes up, Madame Claire. Sorry to break up your conversation at the back. We would love to have you here. Then we have Mr. Franklin from Ghana TVET. If he's also here, he should kindly make his way to the front. And then we have Mr. Roland Asari, also in the building. Kindly make your way to the front. A round of applause for him, please. And then last but not the least, Mr. Hassan Munira. Correct me if I'm wrong. Muniru, yes. I could see him mumbling the name Muniru from the back. A round of applause for him as he makes a long walk to the...
We're doing a switch, so Marcus, my colleague, who is Vice Dean of Research.
Oh, great, awesome. Okay, so we're doing a switch, yes, a switcheroo. So let's welcome the rep.
Vice Dean Research.
Vice Dean Research, if I can get the name again. So we have Marcus Peckman, Vice Dean Research, Imperial Global Ghana, Imperial College Ghana. Great. All right, so I think we are set. This looks really exciting. Now, we'll just start with a round of introductions. We have 2 mics here. I'll give them to you. If you're not talking, kindly off them for us. But the crowd, as you can see, is very excited. We have about, I think, 50 minutes or so. So there'll be a mic here for you. When you're done, you can pass it on. So without much ado, I'd like to have the gentleman on my left start their introductions, and then we'll have the gentleman on the left also continue.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Roland Asari, and I'm a senior research scientist from the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. And specifically, I'm coming from the, CSI, we have 13 institutes. And I'm coming from the institute that is responsible for Science and Technology Policy Research Institute. And we do a lot of, as the name suggests, our research is mainly into evidence-based research by way of science, technology, and innovation to drive, which is geared towards driving the economy of this country. So we work extensively with many stakeholders, including mainly Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, used to be MESTI, and also Agriculture, Ministry of Energy, and so in brief. And I'm also pleased to be here this morning to share my experiences in the area of innovation and science and technology in general. Thank you.
All right, many thanks. That's Mr. Roland Asari. Mr. Dr. Roland Asari, my apologies. I omitted the doctor there. He looked at me funny. So, Dr. Okay. Great, awesome. So let's move to Mr. Marcus. If you can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. So I'm a professor in the Imperial College Business School, which is part of Imperial College London. I'm the Vice Dean for Research there. My research is really about commercialization and university entrepreneurship, academic entrepreneurship. I'm here more by chance. We're taking a group of students that we took here for this week. and so this is a great opportunity also to join this discussion. So thank you for the invitation. We also, as Imperial is opening an office here in Ghana. Claire Turner, who sits over there, leads it, and so I'm here for various reasons, and I hope I can contribute, even though I'm not specifically prepared for perhaps some of the questions. But I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure having you, and trust me, you're very, very well prepared. Very well prepared. So if you can.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Al-Hassan Muniru. I'm the co-founder for Recycle Up Ghana. And at RAG, we have a hub where we support young innovators to co-create solutions that promote circular economy and address the challenges of the waste challenges we have in Ghana. I also double as the Ghana country manager for GFA Consulting Group. It's a German consulting firm, and I'm specifically working with the digital innovation unit. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Wow, a lot there.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Saqib Nazir. I am in the fintech business. I run a number of companies. One of them is licensed by the Bank of Ghana as an enhanced PSP. It's called Mojo Payments. We have a strong focus on financial inclusion and social inclusion. I also run a pension company called People's Pension, which is specifically targeting the informal sector, which makes up 80% of the workforce in our economy. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, Saqib.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. My name is Franklin Kobna-Ishen. I'm with the TVET service. I work within the Training, Assessment, and Quality Assurance Division. I'm a Quality Assurance Officer. Thank you.
Amazing. So, so the purpose of this panel discussion is really to hear from very distinguished gentlemen, like these gentlemen we have here, who have experience in diverse fields. I mean, there's education, there is research, there is tech, there is TVET, and then we have, well, sustainable economy, recycling, and the likes. We want to pick their brains, get some insights into the state of innovation within Ghana and even Africa, and what can we do? What can be done to support the scaling up of brilliant and innovative ideas like we've seen shared this morning. So I would just like to dive straight into it. We'll do a general round of questions, and then we'll do some specific questions if you do not mind. So for starters, let's take a step back and zoom out. Your general thoughts, 1 minute. Just talk about innovation on the continent. What is your impression about innovation on the continent? Let's zoom out a bit. I mean, Africa. I don't know who wants to take that first. Prof, you want to go?
Okay, let me give it a try. I was trying to think about, if we're talking about innovation in Ghana, how should we break it down? What are the most important things? I think we've heard a lot about, let's say, bottom-up innovations from startups or companies, and that's great. That is necessary, and it's a great thing to be promoting. However, what seems to me is also key is process innovation. So if we're talking about an economy like Ghana, what would be the low-hanging fruit by which we can bring really impactful process innovations into how things work? For example, in a sector like agri-tech, which is essentially not necessarily that the innovation comes from let's say within the sector, but it's about the adoption of innovations. It's about looking around and trying to identify what is it in terms of process innovation that would make a big impact across a sector, and what can we do institutionally to help the actors in that sector to adopt innovations. That could make a big difference. That could be digital, but it could be work practices. It could be ways of making things work in an effective and more productive way. So adoption of innovation is an important one when we're talking about innovation policy.
So basically, like innovating the way we actually go about, how we either take on ideas, support small businesses, small innovative, people. So process innovation.
That's right. Yeah. Not everybody needs to be like a first to the world innovator, right? That of course that's great. And if specific firms and companies do that, that's amazing, right? But for scaling innovations across a sector or an economy, the ability of companies to adopt innovations is key, because it can be very powerful. And what do you need in order to achieve that? Well, first of all, you need the skill. You need skills to be able to adopt and use sophisticated innovations. And so providing those skills and helping those skills for those skills to emerge could be a very effective way of essentially scaling something across a wider sector.
All right. The initial comments from Professor there. Now, Doctor, so I mean, for you on the continent, we look at Africa. What do you make of innovation? Are we innovative enough? Is there no innovation? What do you see when you look at the continent?
Yeah, thank you. At the regional level, what I can say is that a lot of innovations abound in all the sectors of the economy. And it is in the spirit of that all the policies that is driving the development of the continent seeks to identify innovation. And for that matter, STI translating to bring out innovation as the key to drive the development of the African continent. And this has also been captured in various policy driving STI in Africa. We have the STIZA, that is Science and Technology Innovation Strategy for Africa. It ended the first phase ended in 2024. So there's another cycle which is beginning this year for the next 10 years up to 2033 or so. Then also we have the Africa Agenda 2063 that also identify innovation as the key for us to achieve the aim of our socio-economic development as a whole for the African continent. So and it is within that context that all the policies that are developed nationally are drawn from. Yeah. So on the whole, that's what I could say. And I also want to add that in terms of innovation translating into finished product, that is where I think there is a challenge. There are a lot of innovation has been identified, as I said earlier, in various fields, being it energy, agriculture, and the likes. But then upscaling is the issue.
So that's the point. The question on scaling is actually one that we'll be addressing
that is the
discussion. I don't know if we have someone here who want to touch on, what they are seeing on the continent. Are there any hubs on the African continent where you feel like there are examples that we can follow? Maybe some might mention Rwanda, Kenya, and the likes. What do you make of innovation on the continent, and where are some good examples that Ghanaians can actually look at and say, you know what, these are great things happening, we can emulate? I don't know who wants to take that.
Thank you. So I think maybe just to take a step back, I think, either we are facing a massive crisis or it's a great opportunity. Looking at the population boom coming up, we spoke about that earlier, there's going to be massive demand for everything, with the young population coming up. And from an innovation perspective, I think we're a very entrepreneurial, innovative society. But as Roland has just mentioned, I think it's also, just like in agriculture, is very ad hoc and very scattered, not very structured, not very cooperative, and therefore difficult to scale. Yes, there's been lots of efforts. We've seen amazing innovations. Africa has really presented opportunities for leapfrogging with, for example, the mobile phone. We've jumped over the landline, straight into mobile phones. And now we're doing that with bank accounts, financial services, straight into mobile money, digital wallets, right? Today, almost everyone has a smartphone, everyone has internet, and everyone has some disposable income to spend. So there's massive room, but we need to get together to structure it properly, to make it cooperative. We need to be more trusting of each other. As a business person, I feel that I've done everything on my own. No one has ever supported me, no government institution, no educational institution, and even as companies in the sector, we don't really cooperate. We see each other more as competition, than collaborating and cooperating. So that definitely has to change. Coming to your specific question, I think there are lots of hubs coming up. Yes, you spoke about Rwanda and Kenya, but the real results, in my opinion, are in the three main markets of South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria. Where there's also a substantial economy, a massive population, a substantial economy, and a willingness to invest in-house. So that's one big problem. We'll come to it later about the lack of funding. For sure, why is America so great at innovation? Because they also have the whole Silicon Valley ecosystem of fundraising, and then the laws behind it to support it. So we have a massive opportunity, but we have a lot of work to do to make sure we leverage it.
Before you pass the mic on, you spoke about the three hubs in South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria. Would you say for us, a population of about 33 million, is the size a concern such that investors might think, why take the time to come out here and invest and support innovation? Hence, the reason why the UKGCC's Grand Challenge is actually critical. They're seeing the need to support innovation. But what do you make about the size and its connection with?
I think the size it is a factor. We should not fool ourselves. And today the world is becoming one level playing field to some extent. Let's see what Trump does. But to some extent, scale is very important. And so for us, even Ghana is home. Ghana is where we get going, but it's very important to scale into other markets to reduce your risks and to really get scale. Otherwise, your product, your idea will get replicated by someone in those other markets, and then they will come with their bigger funding and their bigger size and blow you out of the water. Today, no one is looking for a solution only in Ghana. Anyone who comes to you wants the same idea, the same solution replicated across many countries, and to some extent, how different is South America or Asia from Africa? We all have the same challenges, the same opportunities. So it's very important to really get your idea up and running in Ghana, test it, this is home, this is where your network is. But I think, in my opinion, you quickly have to scale, otherwise it will get blown away.
Wow. You quickly need to scale. That's pretty scary. I had an idea, but now I'm wondering if I come up with it, someone in Nigeria might pick it up and, but anyways, we would like to
start.
Have to start.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think there is, it's a challenge, but it's not, once you get going, it's easier to then get funding and partners in those countries. No one wants to reinvent the wheel. Okay, and everyone is busy fixing their own problems. So if there's a solution that is fixed, it would be easier for someone to come and say, I would rather work with you. You have thought it through, you have built it, you understand it inside out, than to come and copy it. I think, in my opinion.
Wow. Amazing insights from Sakib there. Let's hear from yourself.
Actually, he said most of the things I had wanted to say. But it was basically to answer your first question about the availability of innovations. And the answer is definitely a yes. We are not lacking innovation, Africa in general, and even to be specific, Ghana. And we are all innovators, one way or the other. Who remembers, I think most of you are old enough, back in the days, we used to make our own toys for playing. People would take, discarded car tires, they'll upcycle it, or you take these milk cans, you cut it and make your nice car toys. It's all innovation.
We're building Ferraris out of
exactly right. You know, and everyone and kids these days are not doing that anymore, right? So it's also about, you know, so if we want to really have a culture of innovation, right, we need to start also right from the childhood, right? How do we harness, you know, creativity and innovation in young people to really support them to not kill their creativity from an early age, but innovation is everywhere. When you look at the amazing work being done by our, you know, mechanics, our tailors, seamstresses, they have a lot of ideas. You know, they can fix things that sometimes even the so-called big innovators cannot even fix their problems. But again, right, it comes again into the bigger discussion about how do we support them, how do we channel these innovations and harness it, you know, into in a proper way so that it can be scalable, as Hakeem said, right? So that's also where we need to look at as well.
Okay, so I mean, I hear remarks about collaboration. I hear scalability here as well. So bringing it down to Ghana, I mean, I don't know if you would want to touch on it. I mean, do you think we've done enough on the policy front? What exactly are we doing to support the ecosystem of innovators and, you know, startups?
Right, so thank you. What I'm seeing is that just as everyone has said, we don't lack innovators. We are not lacking ideas. What we are missing is how we'll be able to link innovators to funds, how we'll be able to link our innovation or ideas to industries, how we'll be able to create the enabling environment for young innovators to be able to grow their businesses if they want to grow it. And there are instances people just want to generate the idea and then sell it. Are there avenues where we can get this done? And these are the things we should be looking at here in this country. And the idea that we have a very youthful population full of ideas. They have a lot to do for themselves and a lot to do for this country. Definitely there should be policies, and indeed the earlier discussions we had, my big brother Kofi Addo talking about clear structures that we need to put in place to ensure that we support the youth in whatever way possible to help them grow whatever idea they have and grow their businesses if it's possible.
Okay. I don't know if Doc would want to touch on that. In terms of within Ghana, your review, you spoke about, you know, on the regional front, there are policies that have been generated and is trickling down to the country policies. Within Ghana, can you mention any specifics that you feel are, you know, primed to support innovation in the country?
Okay, so what I can say, beyond the policies, there are other interventions that are being put in place, but I would say that not much has been done in that area. For example, like he rightly said, in terms of policy, in the policy environment, it has been clearly stated that there's the need and for, I mean, innovators to be linked into the industry players. But here's the case that what needs to be done to facilitate this kind of collaboration is not working out.
Why is that?
I would say that we've not shown a much commitment to whatever we intend to do. We have a lot of, you know, before we set out to draw our policies, we have an objective in mind. This is what we want to achieve. For example, we have the National Science and Technology Innovation, policy, which is being reviewed now. And in that report, in that policy document, innovation is key. And it has been, as a country, even from the regional level, we were supposed to commit 1% of GDP to support R&D activities. And the question is, over the years, and this was from a UN convention which came up with that declaration that every member state should come to commit 1% of GDP towards science, technology, innovation activities. And for close to 25 years now, apart from South Africa and maybe Egypt, these are the only two countries who have been able to come a bit closer to the 1%. Most of the countries, Ghana, currently we are around, the last time I checked, it was 0.38 to 0.4. We are not anywhere near. And so these are some of the factors. We are not committing enough resources to, and I also see that the gap between, policy and, private sector is also a contributing factor. You are not able to provide. So what are some of the things that you can do to help or to encourage private sector to step in to promote innovation in various sectors?
So what I'm hearing is we are paying a lot of lip service to supporting
that's the right way.
Innovation. Just to add some data, I think about 2% of global research comes from Africa, just 2% of global research. In terms of spending, about 1.3 comes from Africa. And then in terms of patents, we have less than about 0.2%. I think it's absolutely appalling. So it looks like there's more lip service rather than actual commitments in terms of funding to support research and innovation. And I keep coming back to the UKGCC challenge. So here is a private sector entity trying to support, identifying innovative solutions and possibly supporting them to grow. Now, on the point of growth, I would like to speak to you, Professor. You speak of scalability. What would you say are the key challenges that are preventing people who have turned tomato into soaps, have some great ideas but are unable to get to that level where they are maybe dominating the region, especially within a context of the African Continental Free Trade Area? What, from your research, from where you sit, is preventing innovations from Africa from being scaled to, like the regional dominance, for example?
Okay, well, let me give it a try. And it's been very interesting listening to all of you about this. So I think one thing that we mentioned is collaboration within the sector in the interest of creating context conditions so somebody can operate in a sustainable and effective way. And I think the gentleman, you said this before. I think this is a key issue. If there is an environment where we have certain factors that help me be an entrepreneur, an innovator in a sector, in an economy, I can be 10 times as effective. One example, skills. Certain types of skills. So can there be collaboration and coordination for the provision of specific, even identifying the skills that we need, and then trying to provide those skills from collective resources or from resources where several players, let's say, work together. This can involve the state, but not necessarily. It may be just involving companies from the industry. Could be, right? So that's the first one. So can we work together to identify those kinds of key context conditions that we need to improve, we can improve, and then invest in providing those. It's got to do with skills, it's got to do with the provision of investment, and so on. The second point is about creating this environment for, let's say, R&D investment, right? R&D investment is like any investment, right? Why would anybody invest? You only invest if you have a stable, if you have a predictable environment that allows you to make a punt on the future. It's a probability, right? And the higher the probability is that that investment is going to be recouped, the more the more likely you are to make this investment. And so in that sense, R&D, investment in innovation and R&D is like any investment, right? Because it's more uncertain, it's more of a punt, but the more confident I can be as the one who invests that I will have a stable environment, I will have a infrastructure that allows me to scale and so on, the better it is. So stability and outlook. Maybe the third thing I was going to mention is there is a skill, let's say, in entrepreneuring or in innovating that can be learned. Of course, entrepreneurs are creators. They are driven and so on. But you can be an entrepreneur and or intrapreneur, let's say, at different levels of quality, right? If you're given help to do it well, it can be very powerful. And so we're talking, we're talking about incubators. We're talking about the specific kinds of skills that young people, older people, whoever wants to do this need the very basics in order to be starting at an already higher starting point, and that can be learned, and also there needs to be an awareness that it can be learned, and again this is kind of a, it's a question for some players getting together and thinking about what is it that we can provide for those skills to be more pervasive.
Absolutely. I think on the point of availability of skills, I don't know what you make of that. Do we have enough? Do we have the systems in place to equip people with the skills to be able to, transform their innovative ideas to scale solutions?
All right. So when it comes to skills, truth be told, we are training, we are equipping students with the needed skills to scale up.
Effective training or just...
No, that's where I'm coming to. So the one truth is that it's one thing discussing something with someone, it's another thing allowing them to put their hands on what they do. And that is where the gap is. So from where I'm coming from, again, truth is we have practicalized our training in such a way that students have to go on workplace experience learning. The idea is that you need to link the theory to the practical field. You need to have some experience in the world of work. What is missing is the idea that in school, students are not given problems to solve, real-life problems that they need to find solutions to. That is more or less the beginning for ideation, is the beginning for innovations. So we are missing that bit, but as much as possible, we have entrepreneurship training in our educational system. It's one of the key generic areas that every student would have to learn. What we need to do is to practicalize it. We do not have the structures that can enable students work on what the theory is saying, writing a business idea that a staff or a facilitator will come and teach, where the facilitator himself hasn't started a business before. So you come and tell me that I should write a business idea or generate a business idea. I can do that. But then how am I able to come out from, let's say, an electrical engineering program or a fashion designing program and generate an idea right from my first year to the point where by the time I get to the final year, it has been fine-tuned to the point where I can practicalize it. That is where the missing link is. But as much as possible, we are working very hard to practicalize what we do in our institutions, and we need a bit more of industry players to partner with us so that what really works, and they know because they do it. What works is what will be taught, rather than somebody who knows the theory and will come and tell you, do A, B, C, and D. And most of the time, we know that these things don't work. Practically, they do not work. So the link between industry and education or academia is what we are lacking. And once we are able to get that right, a lot of problems will be solved, because most of us have ideas. How do we transform the idea into viable business? That is where the challenge is, and that is the aspect of our education that I believe we need to work on so that we can get the best out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, I think he wants to chip in?
Yes. So definitely on the issue of the skills, we have enough skills available.
We do?
Yes. You know, go out there. You will see a lot of Ghanaians or Africans, what they are doing outside in companies, you know, the innovations and things that they are doing. So it shows you that the abilities are there. It's not that the fact that we don't have the abilities. It's actually about the enabling environment. How do we support them to thrive? You know, so if I'm here, maybe I might know how to do this, right? But as it was said here, how do we give the innovators the enabling environment to be able to further work on it? And because the more you implement the practicalities, the more you actually further harness your skills. Because then you learn, okay, I try to do something. We don't even have enough, you know, maker spaces or, you know, environment infrastructure around for you to maybe test and pilot certain things so that you can know that, okay, this way, I did it this way, it didn't work, and then I can basically learn and do it faster. So that also limits also the ability for people to further build on the skills. So we need to really work on how do we create that enabling environment for those that have skills to further improve upon that by working on practical activities, by working on projects, because the ability to learn, we have it. Our people are very smart, very innovative, and we have a lot of them also. All the good ones, they leave. You know, we sit here, you know, companies come to recruit IT talents here and they take them away. It's because they are good. Otherwise, they will not come and take them away. And when they go there, they are really thriving and doing also very well. So it's about really, if you want to be serious and do it here, how do we support them? How do we put in place the infrastructure? And that's where we need everyone on board. Everyone, not only the government, but the private sector, academia, everyone has a role to play. And that's where I think we also need to see how can we get everyone to play their role in actually connecting the dots and really helping to take things to the next level.
So I think at the beginning of this conversation, Sakib said something about structures and putting systems in place. And the more you speak, the more I'm like, maybe even we need to innovate the structure itself. I mean, from the very top. I mean, I think Prof spoke about process innovation also. So even like the system itself needs to be, you know, like rethought, or else we'll just be, you know, taking one step forward and two steps back. I think Doc has a point to make.
So, like we have already mentioned, it looks like there's a disconnection between academia and industry. And I think what needs to be done is that even in the development of the curriculum for the various institutions, there's a need for industry to play a very key role. They are out there and they know the kind of innovation that they need to turn things around. But what currently pertains, from my perspective, is that we work in silos. The academia, the universities, they talk about the technical universities, they sit somewhere and develop their own curriculum without any, recourse to the industry. And these are some of the, I think, the missing link that we need to address if really we want to let our innovation that are being developed make a meaningful impact in various industries.
Interesting remark, yes.
So with the idea of linking or having curriculum generated by industry, at least within the TVET space, that is being done. We have, at the moment, before any curriculum is developed for any program, especially in the competency-based module, what happens is that industry generates the occupational standards. So if I would graduate with a National Certificate 2 in electrical engineering, industry should spell out what I need to know when I'm coming out or by the time I'm ready to graduate with that certificate. So that is what starts the curriculum. The occupational standards are generated by industry, and that is what is used to develop the curriculum. And this curriculum is even developed by experts within the industry. So that has started. I know it's happening in the technical universities as well. But what we really need to do going forward is the idea that industry, apart from starting the curriculum, would have to work hand in hand with academia to ensure that research work is paid, or they even support the research process, research and development process, that once an idea comes up and is innovative enough, it is picked up, and then if it takes supporting the team that are generating that to start something and scale it up, or then industry will buy it and then work with it to ensure that some of these things don't stay on the shelves, because a lot of research work goes on in our institutions, and we leave them there. Again, I believe that what we do in our institutions are not getting enough publicity. So we have in the advanced world where there are tabloids for some of these innovations. You see, before an iPhone comes out, a year before it comes, they've reviewed it, they've talked about it. People know it before they even launch it. But then in this country, people do things and nobody gets to hear about it. And most of the time, it's not even worked with. Just about 2 days ago, I was, of course, it's not new, but then within our system, it's something we need to push. That a gentleman has created an app called Prof Art, basically bringing artisans or craftsmen within the engineering ecosystem onto that platform, onboarding them, and making it possible for the general public to get their services through that app. And what it's only seeking to do, of course, the Engineering Council has licensed these individuals so that nobody comes to your house as an electrical engineer and then does anything for you and go out only for you to stay in your house about 2-3 years and get it burnt down. So these are things, they are just to solve problems. We need to standardize what we do in this country. We need to get some professionalism into what we do. And these are basic things that are supposed to be done. So a lot of things are going on, but then who is publicizing it?
So, well, I mean, on the point of publicizing, I'm sure, some media campaign strategies can help with that. But the thing I'm hearing, and we got on this tangent of skills development from what Prof said about the need to collaborate to provide the needed skills. It appears there's a confidence issue also within because in your chance of attracting research funds or R&D funds, like you mentioned, is dependent on how confident the investors are of the stability of your ecosystem and whether or not they'll be able to get their investment back. I think recently, when you look at the mobile financial space, the Bank of Ghana is doing a lot. It has a regulatory sandbox, for example, that allows people with innovative solutions to come in and test their ideas. That's an industry where there's a lot of innovation happening. But outside of that, and this was something that was done by the central bank that gave a lot of confidence to industry. So the more I listen, it's like we need signals coming from up top, from leadership, that would say to the rest of the world that we are serious about innovation. We are putting our money where our mouth is, and all of that. I don't know what you make of that, Sakib.
I do agree. I'm reminded. I read an article about 10, 12 years ago, during the Obama time, that Obama had asked for research to be done to understand what it is that will make $1 billion company. Because they understood that for America to maintain its economic might, it needs to turn out X number of billion-dollar companies every year. And they had done research and they had found out that I divert a little bit, but also interesting and relevant was that the founders of this company are between the ages of 35 and 45.
Oh, wow. It's not late for some of us.
Who have gone through great careers, okay, and have learned a lot, and have now reached a time where they want to start a business, and they've built a network, and they also have access to funding. And it's often a team of people. It's not one guy or one lady. It's a team, and the last point was a very multicultural team. And these guys have a high chance of success. So I think that story tells two things. A, that governments, see the need for innovation, as whether it's for revenue generation, it's for employment, it's for building economies, but also what it takes for, and I'm a bit skeptical of asking someone out of school to go and start a business. I'm a bit skeptical about that. I'm 50 years old, I've been in business, I still make mistakes. So to expect someone, to just jump in from school, just because you have a great idea, doesn't necessarily translate into a great business. So I think there's a lot of in-between, there's a lot of hard, and then we all get also diverted by the fairy tale stories of Microsoft and Facebook, that one guy sitting in a garage did it. He didn't do it. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. So I think we need to focus on the not so glamorous bit of hard work, dedication, getting the right skills, who also have a worldview. Worldview and also life skills. All people who are honest, dedicated, diligent, who will work in an environment of trust and support. But if everybody wants to be a leader, then we have a challenge. So I think we need to focus on that middle bit of moving beyond petty entrepreneurship, into that middle level of building solid, robust, strong businesses that will support each other, led by a government policy. We have tried in the past to reach out to universities to collaborate, but they're just not interested. Really? Yeah, they're not interested. They'll waste your time.
The
yeah.
The Ashesi, they are academic
Ashesi, maybe a one-off.
Yeah.
But if you're University of Ghana or University of Cape Coast or University of Kumasi, by the time you go through a process, you are tired. Yes, you are tired. The bureaucracy, the time wasting, the politics internally. And especially if someone thinks there's some money to be made, you are finished. So that a lot has to change. I think we have amazing opportunities, but a lot has to change for us to get there.
All right, so I think, in the ideal situation, signaling from the top is key. But if not, then private sector would have to, take the bulls, by the horns and come up with something like this, a UKGCC Grand challenge. Well, at this point, I'd like to do some specific questions. And Sakib, we want to, start off with you. Yeah. Yes. As you are into insurance, you're within the digital financial ecosystem. You support education. I know you support the Sharks Challenge as well, doing amazing stuff. How would you say regulations and policies have impacted, your ability to, innovate? You mentioned that you've not been supported, but are they stifling? Are there? Wow. Okay. I think the camera crew needs to watch this. You need to innovate a way of making sure this thing sticks. But from where you sit, is regulation stifling such that you're like, I'll just go around it? Or there isn't anything at all from where you sit?
No, I don't think regulation is stifling because innovation has to happen within the regulatory landscapes, right? Listen, no app can be an insurance company. No app can be a digital bank. You need to be licensed to be a bank. Only an insurance company can do insurance. Only a bank can take deposits, right, and lend. So we have to be careful, to see where the innovation can be. And we're lucky that Bank of Ghana has been very open to innovation, creating this office, fintech office, and innovation. So people forget that there's an innovation part to that office. They only think of it as licensing payments. But there's a whole innovation aspect, and as you said, they've created a sandbox. NIC is also trying to do something around that. NIC has also created a program. There's been a lot of work, and likewise, SEC is also looking. So within the financial services, yes, I think it's a lot easier to innovate, and you can see what's happening across the world. Of course, Ghana is not yet allowing crypto, but even then there are some regulations coming up that may allow it. So within the financial services space, yes, I think we're lucky to be in that space where you can actually get away, or you're supported. You have a forward-thinking regulator. You have forward-thinking regulators who support you. I think it's a lot more difficult to do it in more physical spaces. Like agriculture? Like agriculture, yes. And I think still fundamentally, I think there's still 2-3 problems which hold us all back, which now slowly they are being solved. One was national identity. The second was addressing or land, land documentation. And then thirdly was payments. So slowly some of these issues are being fixed, which I think then makes it so easy to transact and to innovate.
Interesting. For all of you who are listening, if you want to chip in, please raise your hand at the end of the session. You ask your questions and all of that. And the panelists, if you also want to add on to what he said, you can also do that. But as part of this particular workshop, we are creating what we call challenge statements. So I think Kofi Hunt, Mr. William Kofi Hunt, basically made a remark about the fact that how do we provide affordable, low-risk finance for farmers. So as we listen to all of this, we should be thinking of some of the challenge statements that are coming up. And then, if we have ideas to solve those problems, I know Sakib maybe might be interested in providing affordable, low-risk finance to some of the farmers.
I think, look, someone like MTN is already doing it with their quick loan. So that's a great leapfrogging that, because unsecured finance is a huge opportunity. And today, MTN, with their quick loan product, based on data on their mobile phones, is doing, I think, more than any other bank.
That's true.
Right?
With very low non-performing...
With very low, yes, exactly. So because we don't have the foundation of data, right? Traditionally, the farmer has been invisible, right? No one knows, is the land really for the farmer or not? How big is the land? What are the assets on it? Right? So if we can start working together to digitize and document that and then create the profiles, then yes, it will happen.
I think in terms of digitization of farms, the gentleman up front came up, he has a drone service company that can do something like that. All right, so what about cost of financing, for example, and how does it prevent innovative solutions from actually coming to the service, percolating to the service? Because cost of finance is crazy in Ghana.
Yeah, so the first thing is today, some of it is a legal framework. I think now there's a paper before SEC to enable local funds to be set up in Ghana. Okay, today there's no local VC fund set up in Ghana that can fund Ghanaian companies. The way you set up a fund, an investment fund versus how you set up a normal company today seems to be the same. So I think there's some bills before Parliament and they need some support for startups and for the necessary funding. So that's one thing. Unfortunately, our economic environment, our macroeconomic environment, also makes it so difficult. If I can just invest in treasury bills and get 15-20% a year, why should I take a risk in a startup, which has a very low, and let's be honest, startups will fail, right? So if my options are, to invest in treasury bills or just keep my money in the bank versus investing in a startup, then, that's where the challenge is. So I know this government is making huge steps to bring down treasury bill rates, inflation. Automatically then, there's a lot of pension money, which we cannot, as a pension company, I'm aware, we have pension money which we cannot deploy, which we would love to deploy into innovation. But again, regulation, so we're also engaging with our regulator to allow us to invest in startups and scale-ups. Okay, so there's a lot that has to happen, But for sure, funding is one very critical aspect. So again, you may get a startup grant, you may even get a small scale-up grant, but then there's a whole missing middle, right? Which does become a problem. I'm talking a lot of problems, but I still do it. I do it, and I keep on doing it, so there's hope.
And I think, like you're saying, things are getting better with our ID system. Plans to introduce like a credit scoring system as well to be able to make sure when you're lending, you know who you're lending to. Now, on the policy front, I remember there was a suggestion that banks should be compelled to invest some amounts into supporting businesses, especially in agri. Do you support that idea? Because now a lot of them, when you look at their balance sheet, are spending a lot of their funds in T-bills and sitting down and not really supporting, innovative solutions in agri and energy like the UKGCC Grand Challenge is doing. Should there be like government policy that says, X amount of banking funds should go into supporting small businesses?
I would suggest that they be encouraged to do it. Because at the end of the day, you also have to watch your non-performing loans, right? So I think, for example, again, look, for innovation, what tax breaks do we all get? Right? Versus GRA, always looking to increase revenue. So if at least there were some tax breaks for startups, for companies who are going digital, as a digital company, there's no way you can mess around with your taxes. If all your money is going digitally through your bank account, that's very clear and transparent for the central bank, for the tax authorities to see. So if there were incentives like that, I think that would encourage such investments and funds to move that way.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest, rather than forcing
them.
Yeah, that's my
own
personal.
And on the tax breaks, I think in correct me if I'm wrong, but some governments, whether this one or the last one, made remarks about supporting startups by giving them some breathing room once they start before GRA actually starts coming after them. Now, let me turn to Professor at policy within education within our space. I mean, if you have, great. If you haven't, from your experience from out there, what do governments need to do, to bring, for example, enable the universities and then the educational institutions to be, innovative and support, the bringing up of, innovative, solutions?
So that's a big question. so let me try and break it down. So if you're looking at the university sector, right? What's the main role and function of the university sector? One is education, right? The other one is knowledge creation, research, and the third one is potentially commercialization of ideas, right? Now, which one is the biggest in terms of volume? It's education, because that's where young people come in, they learn, hopefully, something, and go out and work in a company. I think, and your question is what companies can do.
From where you sit as an educationist, if you got a chance to sit with government, what kind of advice would you give them to enable you to become innovative and even support the innovation ecosystem? Are there some policy changes that would maybe free your hand as an education institution to be able to support maybe startups and even the scaling of people? What can government do?
Yeah, okay. I mean, the way I think about this is this. The university sector is structurally different from the, let's say, corporate sector, right? And they need to be different, because otherwise, there is a convergence. So what I'm saying is you cannot academia to instrumentally, serve corporate purposes full-fledged, like just doing that. You need to nurture the research skills within academia independently. Let it grow and develop independently, and then some companies will be able to take advantage of the skills that are developed in. So, for example, I think we've been mentioning And you've been mentioning, you've been trying to work with universities, right? And it didn't work. And I think that is quite common, right? And it's sometimes, essentially the awareness of what is needed is not there, right? Maybe on both sides sometimes, because it's difficult for a company to say, I want to work with the university, but I want that bit to be, instrumentally now add to the bottom line, and that's not going to be the case. It needs to be seen as an opportunity to essentially transfer skills. You work with some talented researchers, and you let your staff in the company work with them, and that will lead to learning that could be potentially valuable. Having said that, working with university-industry collaboration is not for everybody. It's because not all companies are necessarily R&D intensive, right? So coming back again to education is far more important. So the training that I give to the people who come into the university, and I work with companies to design curricula, right? That are actually that are needed in order to serve the needs that I have in a company is key. So, as if you sit together as a university with policymakers and companies, hopefully there is a way in which you can assess what is it that we should put the emphasis on, and hopefully get some alignment with respect to the needs that you're serving.
Okay, and now I remember some time back, I don't know where this is, but let's say Silicon Valley and the way some of the institutions actually support research in some of the universities. Isn't it possible, for government to, for example, come up with some policy to say, you know what, I'll give you some tax breaks if you show consistently that you are supporting research in, some of our key universities that might come up with, viable business ideas. Shouldn't be something that government can look at to say, you know what, hey, as universities or as industry, you might stand a chance of getting some tax breaks if you funnel some money into research, with these universities. What do you think?
Sure. This is being done in quite a number of countries, R&D tax credits and so on, and it can be a useful instrument for giving an additional incentive for companies to do it. I would be not a great believer in thinking that this is a magic bullet, right? Because if companies or anybody does something only for the tax break, they're doing it for the wrong reason. That's just an additional bonus, right? But the real challenge is to create in the corporate sector the need for R&D input, the desire and the awareness. This is what we need to do. Tax credits can help, and we're talking about investment schemes. So in the UK we have the enterprise investment scheme, which gives a tax break essentially. If you as an individual invest in a company, you get an immediate tax break as an individual. So if somebody is, let's say a wealthy individual, it can be a good way of saying, okay, I'm going to support a company when risk is reduced because I'm getting this tax break, and that is quite successful. I wouldn't expect banks to do this. This is not the business banks are in. There's other ways in which you can hopefully go around the economy and say, who would be the kind of people, families, individuals, who would be the most likely ones, and start. I'm sure in Ghana there are angel clubs and the equivalent of those kind of things. Those are the starting points for building a venture capital, let's say sector, a venture capital culture from which it can grow.
Wow, great. Thank you so very much, Prof. Let me come to you, Hassan. Now, you are passionate about, the sustainability industry, recycling of cycles and the likes. Are there, from where you sit, have you had any challenges with regulatory requirements that have slowed you down, and more or less have not enabled you to innovate as much as you'd have liked to?
Yes, the regulatory challenges are there. Of course, especially since it's in the waste or clean tech space, right? So,
can you give us some examples?
Yes, so some example would be for if you want to set up, because we run incubation programs, right, where innovators maybe want to set up a small recycling or processing facility or whatever. Of course, you need EPA permits, right? So all these permits, right, sometimes it's really difficult for them to know the process, and even also the funding challenges that comes with it, right? And so those are challenges. Of course, I'm not saying that the permits are bad, but it's about also making it easily accessible or affordable for especially startups to be able to kind of like go through those challenges.
So like regulatory approvals?
Yes. And then also, for example, we had one of our startups who is actually doing eco-friendly reusable sanitary pads, and she tried to do the certification. Sanitary pads. Yes. And actually, she is the one that was actually guiding the regulator through the standards, because actually we don't have the standards in Ghana. So she has then been collaborating with the Ghana Standards Agency to actually then for them to even develop the standards for it as well. But of course, that collaboration is actually going on quite well as well. So yes, there are, and of course some of it have already been talked about, right? So the incentives, right? So what other incentive could be there? You want to import machinery, for your business, the huge taxes on it, right, for a small business. So, you hustle, you find a way maybe to get some grant to even buy the machine, and now even the duty and clearance and whatever, you can't even clear it, right? So those are all challenges that also affect young innovators, and those needs to also to be looked at as well.
Okay. I mean, for your space, there needs to be a lot of education as well, even for the regulators themselves. Yes. Yeah, for when it comes to innovation, because they might not be up to speed with the changing, I think, spaces. All right. So, Prof, now for those of you who do not know, Prof's institution does a lot of research. I think I was on your website and I saw so much research from agri to digital financial services and the likes. Now, where you sit, what role would you say that, an institution like yours, you're churning out a lot of research, and the complaint is that even the universities, students are churning out a lot of theses and they're gathering dust. How is your research influencing, policies? If you have any examples, I'll be very grateful.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Like you rightly said, we've done a lot of research, and we, like I said earlier on, we are the policy wing of the CSR. We have different institutes, and the idea is that at the end of the day, every research should end up in policy for national development. So specifically to our institute, we carried out aflatoxins. We realized that in the area of agriculture, aflatoxins was a major problem affecting... Aflatoxins, yeah. And so a research was done in collaboration with Food Research Institute and the University of Ghana. And in the end, we were able to come up with a aflatoxins policy. I don't know if some of you have chanced upon that. There is a policy governing aflatoxins in the cereals that are produced in the country. So they should know the standards that of the various that it has to be before it can be.
So for example, what cereal are we looking at?
We have maize, we have granite. I don't know whether you've heard about, but we have, and it is from the research that we carried out. Then we also, and I also wanted to add on to what the Prof was saying earlier on. Currently, the government is also doing something to support innovation in this country, and we are also key in the process. I know there's currently the development of innovation and startup bills, and we've come up with and we are very much into it. I'm also part of the team that work on the document, and is currently with the Minister for Communication, Digitalization, and Innovation, I don't know, Honorable Sam George. And I must say that he's in a hurry to lay it before Parliament. So it's one area that we also play a key role. Then also energy. We also piloted a conversion of waste to energy at how do you call it? Echuma Webieja district.
Is it just testing? Has this been scaled up? What's happening?
Yes, so I wanted to add up to what the gentleman said earlier on. So what we did was that we were trying to, through research, we convert the waste into energy, biogas, and also pyrolysis. I don't know, it is very technical. But at the end of the day, what we've come up with a policy guideline that will inform all such initiatives in the country. So these are some of there's quite a number of them, especially in the area of agriculture. A lot have been done.
I think the gentleman mentioned the fact that awareness creation on some of these innovations and even some of these policies are not available. So maybe what more work needs to be done to let the public know about some of these policies and how to ensure they go by them.
Okay, so what I can also say is that on our part, we do, before we even come up with the policy, it goes through a number of stages. We do a lot wider stakeholder engagement, and so I think what we haven't done enough is that the stakeholder engagement needs to be, extended to cover. It looks like most of the engagement are carried out in the southern part of this country, and I think there are a lot of activities also taking place in other parts of the country. So it's one thing that we have. So going forward, what we intend to do is that in coming up with the policy, we will try as much as possible to get all stakeholders' input to it. And for what we intend to do is that instead of concentrating at the southern set of the country, we intend to do zonal stakeholder engagement. That is, we zone the countries into the southern, middle, and the northern zone. And we ensure that we get all the various input from the various stakeholders of interest. And also as to the, you also did mention that we haven't done enough sensitization and awareness. At the end of the day, the policy that we develop, we do it in collaboration with the policymakers. And at the end of the day, it ends up at their end. So that's a problem. So we help them to develop their policies based on the research that we've carried out. And the onus is on them to, we do our best in the course of the process coming up with to develop the policy. So the next stage of, sensitizing or creating awareness about the policy and what it seeks to achieve lies with the policymakers.
I think as part of your recommendations, maybe you should, indicate that they should, create, more awareness. So I think we've come to the end of this particular session. We do. If you have any brief comments, 30 seconds to maybe wrap up. If you have any comments, that will be great. I think the next session we have is a fireside chat with some young entrepreneurs from Isoko Farmer Line and the rest. We'll be calling them up to more or less. This one will be the conversation. The questions should be coming from your end. So I'll be walking through and giving you the microphone, but just to get a sense of how they navigated the policy terrain in Ghana, what challenges they've had. If they could start all over again, what exactly would they do and what wouldn't they do and the like. So we will be delving into that shortly. But just 30 seconds. If any young entrepreneur wants to innovate, what would be your advice to them when it comes to navigating the policy landscape? 30 seconds if you have any remarks. Any young, you could be your son, your nephew, your if they're coming up, what would be your advice to them to be able to properly navigate the policy landscape and be able to bring their ideas to life?
Okay, so just a quick one. I think it's just not enough to have the creative ideas and all the innovative ideas, but I think also for such people to be able to make it to the higher level as far as the developing or moving the innovation to finished product, what comes to mind, what needs to be done is also, I think mentorship has to also come in. I think it's very key. Because just like you rightly said earlier, we can't have, the leaders, everybody become a leader within the space. So we need to have, there should be, you have to pass through the mill so that you become very refined at the end of the day.
Okay, 30 seconds. So you're saying not everybody can become a captain. Someone has to play their role as defender, midfield, to be able to score the goals you're scoring as Black Stars, yeah? All right, so I don't know if you have any remarks, any advice for young entrepreneurs and innovators.
Sure, I'll give it a try. Ideas are cheap. Ideas are plentiful, and honestly, ideas are not worth much as such. So the value is in implementation. The value is in pursuing and persisting over a prolonged period of time with a very systematic effort of thinking very hard. How is it I can pull together the resources that I need to put this idea into, to make it live? What kind of people do I need? What kind of machine do I need to build? What kind of resources can I mobilize that help me do this and persist?
Wow. Ideas are cheap. And pursue your dreams, persist. I think Sam Altman, the leader of OpenAI, mentioned that you should be willing to stick with the idea for 10 years, 10 good years. 30 seconds for you.
So invest in yourself. Just be the best, be the expert in your area, and then also, of course, collaboration. If you really know your area very well, it also attracts attention to you and your resources, and then, of course, collaboration then will be the one that will basically take you to the next stage.
Thank you. I would encourage everyone to follow in this path. There are lots of challenges that only we can fix for ourselves. No one will do it for us. But I would also caution to be very patient and to be very careful in what anyone does. But I would really encourage, because I think looking to the future, there are no jobs out there. The only way forward is entrepreneurship, it's small micro enterprises, and that's what we have to be really support to grow our economy.
Yeah. Right, and I think a lot of things have been said, but what I want to add is the idea that there are a lot of problems around us which can be turned around into big projects. So let's look at that first, but additionally, the fact that you're able to generate an idea doesn't mean you can see through its implementation. So bring together a team that can help you to implement it so that you can get the best result out of it and best returns on it. So that's very important.
Wow. A round of applause for our panelists. Amazing. It's been almost, about an hour of insights. Truly amazing. So Mr. Saqib Nazir, Professor Marcus Peckman, Mr. Franklin Eshan, Roland Sari, and last but not the least, Mr. Hassan Muniru. Yes, if we can take a picture, then we'll take a 5-minute break and then do the fireside chat. So a quick picture up front. A round of applause for them. One more time. I don't know how many of you enjoyed the panel discussion on policy as an enabler in creating an innovation-friendly environment. Sweet insights. But I think some of the things that percolated to the top were at the very fundamental level, we need a leadership to take some level of seriousness to supporting innovation. If leadership does not support, when I say leadership, I'm talking about political leadership. If they do not support innovation, then private sector can do all it can, but the pace at which we will grow might not be as much as we would grow if we get government actually supporting. So we have the UKGCC's Grand Challenge trying to, support with the identification of innovative solutions that are solving real-world problems in the agri and energy sector. But imagine how much more they can do if you had government support when it comes to supporting innovation within our country. So this part of the conversation is less formal. I feel like taking off my jacket and rolling up my sleeves as well. And the questions are supposed to come from the crowd. These guys they are not at the idea stage. Basically, they run companies that are doing really well. I'll give the mics to them to actually introduce themselves for us to get to know them well. But we really want to find out from them how they got to where they are now, some of the challenges they face in terms of navigating the regulatory landscape, and if they could advise their younger selves. I see that trend on YouTube a lot. If you could advise your 20-year-old self, what would the advice be? So I'll be posing that same question to you. So if we are all ready, I'd like to start from my left here. I'll give you the mic to introduce yourself to the team.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julian Owusu. I am founder of a company called Build the Company. We started 5 years ago. We started off as a fintech, owning a microfinance bank and building a platform for government workers to access their salary on demand. We then pivoted to becoming a holding company, and now we're sort of like a studio where we produce community-focused products. So for us, we find large niche communities around the world, and then we study them, we put them in groups, we find out their problems, and then we build products for them. And the idea is that we build products that make revenue instantly and also solve their problems instantly, right? So it's come from pain points that we had before from raising VC funding, where it dried up. 2020 money was being thrown everywhere, then it dried up. Then we had to keep things running. So we thought, let's change our focus. What did we do well in our first product, which was build a community? We didn't realize we were doing it, but that's what we did. And it's worked really well. This year, we're working on a couple of AI products for healthcare companies in the UK. Last year, we did a fitness platform with an influencer. As soon as it went live, people started subscribing. So the community focus and the community model that we're going with is working. And we're not looking for 1 million users, we're looking for 20,000 users, but people who pay on a monthly basis. And I think the model's worked really well. And for us, we're looking to duplicate that model as we go along. Aside that, our company has been building in public. As some of you may have seen me online, and what we've done is we've built our own community of entrepreneurs and people who just like our company and want to work for us. And that's birthed a new division which went live in November last year, where we are basically outsourcing offshore talent from Ghana and also from Latin America soon to companies in the UK and the US. And that's all come from our community. So we do everything community-based. I can go on and on about community, but we hire in our community, we build for our community, and literally that's how the model is. And I think that's what the future is going to be. I think the future is going to be focused on people and community in a world where AI can do everything. I think it's going to come back to the people that are behind the products, and that's what we're focused on at this moment.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Dana Sariche. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Isoko. I'm sure some of you might have heard about Isoko before. But Isoko is actually one of the oldest agri-tech companies, not only in Ghana, but also in Africa. We were started some 17 years ago in 2008 in Accra here. And at that time, the interest was, mobile phone was becoming very, very common, very, very ubiquitous across the continent. And what you sought to do, how do you leverage on that mobile technology to provide information to smallholder farmers? Right, so you saw that if you take the agricultural sector, you saw that there's a huge information asymmetry in the agricultural value chain. So somebody is a farmer producing tomatoes, Techiman. Somebody is in Accra, wants tomato to buy, but the two of them don't know each other, so they can't even talk and then trade. And so you build this platform that allows farmers to be able to see the prices of their produce in market. So for instance, if you are in Accra, you want to know the price of maize or soybean or cassava in Techiman or Kumasi or Tamale, you could test to a short code and get the instant feedback of the price of that commodity in that market. So that's how you start telling you, just a simple market price information system that allows people in the agricultural value chain to have information about commodity prices across the country. With time, you saw that you cannot just do information alone. You need to do much more than that. So you went into what you call extension services, where you allow farmers to be able to receive extension advisory services on their mobile devices. So you went to mobile for agriculture solutions, you went into weather forecasting, extension agronomy, all kinds of climate smart information that will deliver to farmers, either as an SMS or voice or IVR or through a call center. In 2014, you set up one of Africa's modern call center dedicated to agriculture for farmers. Around so farmers could call the call center and ask for any information on agriculture, ask for information about where to sell their crops, where to find market, where to buy seeds, where to buy for everything that farmers need to know. This call center in all the local languages, right? So you spoke almost about 15 local languages in Ghana. And then we also went beyond Ghana. And so we set up offices in Kenya, in Tanzania, and Malawi, rather a franchise model. Maybe later we'll talk about what you learned from that rapid expansion that we did over the last couple of years. But then you also saw that information, yes, it's important. But information alone is not enough to drive down poverty, right? So if you know that, okay, you actually can reduce poverty, increase your production by 20% by just doing X and Y. If you don't have the means to do that, if that alone, that information, even though you have it, cannot translate into actual productivity gains for you. And so you move to all kinds of other additional services. Now you do two major things very well. You do surveys, you digitize the entire agricultural value chain, you digitize rural supply chain. You also digitize social protection programs across Africa. And so you want to digitize, you want to profile people, you want to be able to track where people are, you want to categorize people into various poverty levels. Our platform allows you to be able to do that. Like I said, we have almost about 2 million farmers on our platform that have been using our services in about 20 countries in Africa, but mainly in Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Burkina Faso, these places. So I'm very happy to be here to share our experience with all of you, and thanks for having me. All right.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Dela Kumaho. I'm the VP of Product Development at a company called Kofa. Kofa is an energy company. So what we do is we distribute clean, affordable energy for both mobility and non-mobility uses through swappable batteries. So we're all about the distribution of energy, not through the grid, but through, in our case, lithium-ion swappable batteries. And so the way we do that is we have swap stations located around the city. So in Accra, we have about 9, actually soon to be 10 swap stations distributed around the city, to which our users can come, and whenever they are in need of new batteries, they simply swap their depleted batteries out for new ones. I'm sorry? At a charge, yes, at a charge. So that's how we make our money. So we are essentially just providing the energy through these swappable batteries. So we are very much Ghana-based. So we've designed our own motorcycles, designed our own batteries, designed our own swap stations. As I said, we cater to both mobility and non-mobility use cases. So essentially, our goal is petrol displacement, not just in ICE motorcycles, but also to displace what would you call petrol generators. So you can also use our batteries to power your homes, power your businesses, etc. We currently have about 100 motorcycles on the road. As I said, about 9 swap stations, soon to be 10. Our customers are swapping about 200 batteries a day. In the next 2 to 3 months, that number will go up to about 600 motorcycles in both Accra and Kumasi. We're also expanding to Kenya, and so by the end of this year, we expect that number to be in the thousands. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So my name is Francis Obrikran. I run a company called Agro Center. So by the name Agro Center, you know we work in the agri value chain. We've been around for 8 years. So Daniel is my senior. So anytime I'm on a platform with Daniel, I pay homage to him. I think he mentioned they started in 2008. I was an employee at Isoko at 2009. I worked at Isoko for 3 years before moving on. So for the upcoming entrepreneurs who are here, you must have some experience before you jump into the entrepreneurial value chain. So what we do is we work with smallholder farmers. Our primary focus is to enable financial services for farmers. Largely what we do is we connect smallholder farmers to capital and other financial services. So on one hand, we have the financial institutions who are looking to deploy capital to smallholder farmers. On the other hand, also we have the farmers who are looking for funds. There's a missing middle where the banks and the financial institutions see the farmers as high risk, so they don't provide financial services for them. What we do is we use technology to build alternative credit score for smallholder farmers. So we work with farmers across the value chain. We build critical data on these smallholder farmers, financial transactional data. We do digital payments. We do savings and pensions for smallholder farmers. So as we go along, I think we'll talk more about what we've done and the plans for growth. Thank you.
Oh, great, amazing. A round of applause for all of them. Amazing.
Can I just add one more thing? So I'm glad you mentioned that. So I actually also used to work at Isoko. So Daniel is also my senior.
Oh, wow.
So both as an internal consultant and an external consultant. So that's why you look familiar, indeed.
Is he why I want to work for him? So that's Julian Owusu, Dan Asariche, Dela Kumoho, and Francis Obinkran. A round of applause one more time for them, please. And so we can see that these people have gone through the mill and have some key experiences they can share with us, some insights. So now the floor is open. Kindly raise your hand. We'll bring a mic to you for you to ask your questions so that they can, just chip away at answering them. So who has the first question for us, please? First question, hand up, first question. Okay, right there. Have a mic. Do we have a mic for him? Do we have a mic for him? Okay, so we'll use one of these. Great.
Yes, my name is George Majite. My question is for Mr. Francis of AgroCenter. What kind of collaborations do you all do when it comes to bringing financial inclusion to smallholder farmers? And I ask that question in consideration of my own efforts to try and collaborate with financial institutions. My company works with drone technology. We have differentiated ourselves in the market by focusing on data collection, so mapping, surveying, crop health assessment, crop counting. And we've looked to engage different financial institutions like ARP, Apex and such about the necessity of data because data is gold and that's what can substantiate the creditworthiness of these this demographic. And yet it seems like every time we engage them, things fall on deaf ears. So I'm curious to know if you guys do collaborations, what forms, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So there are a few financial institutions here, so I'll be very cautious of what I say. So yes, we work with a couple of financial institutions from enterprise financial institutions like commercial banks. So we work with EcoBank through their subsidiary Pan-African Savings and Loans. We've worked with the Advanced Savings and Loans and a couple of other financial institutions. When it comes to the banks, the challenge is it depends on the level of how big they are. Decision making is quite slow. So if you want to pitch to sometimes the commercial banks, they have to go through several layers of approval. I remember, I see ABSA people in the room. Yes, I remember one of our partnerships, we were looking to work with ABSA. That conversation went for about more than a year. And to date, we've still not been able to, because you talk to this person, the next 4 months, you are speaking to a new person. So the old person has left the company and a new person has taken over. I think when the conversation started, it was even Barclays Bank before it transitioned to ABSA. So you can imagine the whole nightmare around that. So how we do that is mainly we start with the low-hanging fruit, mostly the smaller banks, the rural banks, who are already in the communities working with the smaller farmers. So if I go to a bank like Opportunity International, who are already doing some form of agri-finance, it's easier to talk to them than to go to a bank that is now thinking of doing agri-finance. So that becomes more like the selling point. Okay, I'm working with this bank. How about you also? Because for most of the commercial banks, the activities are in the urban areas. So a lot of them are reluctant to move to the rural areas. And then also you must make a compelling point for them. Banks are always thinking about profitability. Whatever you're selling to them, how can this make their lives easy at a low cost? So in some cases, you have to be able to run pilot, what most people do is they go and say, okay, I'm going to charge you X amount. No bank will pay on the first attempt. Most of them will want you to see some skin in the game. Did it work? And even if you are deploying capital to them, money is moving from the banks to smallholder farmers, not a challenge. It's the reverse that's a challenge. Money is coming back from the smallholder farmers to the banks. And if you can guarantee a bank that your NPLs will be less than 3%, trust me, they'll be at your door knocking at 2 a.m. that come and take the money. So one, start with the low-hanging fruits, build that, and then be willing to do things on a pilot for free for most of these banks before you can actually go for the bigger fishes.
Wow, and I think that's very instructive. Because a lot of young entrepreneurs are very frustrated about their inability to get access to some of these key stakeholders. Sometimes they say it depends on who you know, who actually knows you. But I think you've made a point about making sure you go to some of the low-hanging fruits first, proving your ability to work with them, and before you can, go up there to the big fishes. So
I think yes, who you know also matters, but in most cases, it still come back to the same thing. Somebody can put a foot in the door for you. It will take you forever to meet some of these big banks. We've had, in some cases, some of our investors sending direct introduction to some of these banks. They never followed up. So, yes, somebody can know you, but it always has to do with how agile are the banks and look at what some of the policies the bank already have in some of the sectors you are looking to work in. A lot of the banks will say, we want to do this. And if they tell you we want to, trust me, that's about 5 years. We are doing this, that's 2 years for you.
And even on the point of viability, I think the live pitch session is something that you should take advantage of so that you can learn from the best to appreciate how best to actually pitch some of your ideas to get investor interest. I don't know if Dila want to point, but I know he also wanted to pitch in, but if you also have a point, you can make it.
Yeah, right. So I think most of the time you think that the father have a very great idea. You go into the bank will give you money to use. It doesn't work like that. Banks in Ghana are still very, very conservative. Right. For me, if you come to Isoko, my employees are able to get a loan quicker than the companies have getting a loan. My colleagues will just go into the bank and they get a loan based on the fact that they are working for this company, based on the fact that they're going to be paid every month. But if the company itself wants to get a loan, that's a different ballgame altogether. Right, so like Francis said, you got to have the point of entry, which is that if you're working with rural communities, rural farmers, get down to those banks, rural banks that are working with these people already. And there you can now work your way up to the bigger banks. Like he said, the bigger banks, it takes a lot of time. Most of them still see, particularly agriculture, as very risky. It's too risky to put your money in there. Maybe that's what feed them. Right, and so we just have to find a way to also add value to what they are trying to do. If whatever you're proposing to them makes sense, and they say, oh, I can actually get our money back, most of them are thinking about how the money is going to come back. That's their major concern. Money going out is very, very easy, especially for farmers, very, very easy. Anybody here in Ghana who wants to take, when you ask them, you want to take money? Yes. Everybody wants to take money. But the question is, how does the money come back? And that's where the challenge has always been. That's the more reason why the bank sales is, the sectors are very, very difficult. So they prefer to buy government bonds and buy all this, and then they get a haircut for that. Instead of investing those money in the productive ventures of the economy so the economy can grow much faster. They don't want to do that because they still feel that the agriculture and all this are very, very risky. And so, yeah, let's identify the right point of entry, get the right networks, like he said, who you know still very, it's not only in Ghana, everywhere in the world you go. Everywhere you go, who you know matters a lot. And so if you know the right people, you know the right doors, get the right product, the right value proposition, you'll be able to make it there.
Great. Also, I don't know if any, yes, you have a comment?
My name is Patrick. I want to address the gentleman from Agro Center. Do you see a possibility where you can pivot what you just said, what you do for the farmers, for the startup community? Because what I've learned so far is that traction is very, very important. So if you model what startups are doing, like farms, as if they are farms, and you use your data systems to help us, design certain low-hanging fruit type activity. It might not be my ultimate vision yet, but it's one of those small activities on my way, so that access to that level of capital can happen and then we can also build traction and get investor ready. So I signed up for investor ready because it's like the holy grail right now, right? Getting investor ready. And I think that instead of just talking about investor readiness, if we can get some of these mechanisms in place and help us with, getting our foot on the ground. Thank you.
Sure. So I'm trying to see how I can take a stab at your question. So yes, it's doable. If you look at mostly the startups we focus on agriculture. So some of the startups that would be of interest to us must be within our line of work. I may not go and work with a startup in health. I may not have experience there. So yes, and I have been fortunate to, when you mentioned investor readiness, I think about 5-6 years ago, that was one of the key topics which we were doing. We were all looking for money. So I've attended a lot of investor readiness sessions, some local, some also outside the country. And I think, yes, that's one of the key things a lot of startups miss in terms of they think once they have a shiny idea, the investor is going to throw money at you. I think that thing is mostly for movies. We see Silicon Valley movies and we are excited about it. They don't work. I remember our last fundraise, we spoke to about 150 investors. Only two invested. And the next raise, we spoke to about 200, none invested. So it's always a vicious cycle where you always find yourself talking to a lot of investors. So investor readiness, for me, it's a very broad topic, but I think once we do that, there are some key learnings that we can share to be able to make some of the process easy, to have some of the pitfalls we have to avoid in terms of raising capital. And unfortunately, we don't have a strong investor network in Ghana. All startups who have raised money have to look outside. So it's unfortunate if you look on my cap table. So cap table is mostly your investors. They are 99.99% foreign. None is local. I've never raised money from any local institution before because they don't exist. And even some of them, if they exist, they just exist on paper. It's just the usual talk shop. Come and see me in my office. You go. Some of them are even now trying to raise their funds anyway. So I think, and that's one of the key investor readiness thing where is always managing expectations and know which investor to target. Because some of the founders waste time talking to investors who are not good for you, who are not fit for you. So they just go online and look for investors in Africa. The whole list drops and then they start sending everybody emails. You might not get a response. So once you know which investor fits what you do, it's easier to be able to. So I think, yes, we can talk more about how investor readiness, but I think for me it's more of the preparation. It's like going hunting. If you are going to catch a fish, you don't take a shotgun, you take a net to go to the same way if you are going to catch an antelope, you probably have a gun to shoot. So it's the right tools that you have to catch which right investor you are looking for. So I think we can talk more on that.
Great. Dil, I don't know if you want to take a stab at that or...
I don't know if I have a whole lot more to add. I mean, I would definitely echo the points that you just made. I'm very lucky to have a co-founder, or rather our founder and CEO, Eric Nygaard, who has been there and done that as far as investing and has exited companies, etc. So we lean very much on him for his experience, etc. We have managed to find a couple of local investors, but very much the same sort of challenges in terms of the hit rate of investors and the number of investors that you have to go through. And I mean, I don't want to be unfair to investors, but I guess the term jumping through hoops is typically used in these types of scenarios. You do have to understand the perspective that they are coming from as well. So not a lot more useful to add other than to echo what was just said.
Now, before Julian comes in, did you say you spoke to about 200 investors? 200? 200?
Yeah, so it looks easy. So what we see is most everybody goes on LinkedIn and see a founding announcement. This company has raised 5 million Series A. And you find the founders have crossed their arms in company T-shirts and with a nice background, and everybody's excited. Trust me, the process. 200? Yes. So the process that you have to. So it's a whole process where even doing the outreach alone, you have to target more than 200. Because one thing is, and we have to be very frank about, is if you find yourself in Africa, you have to work 4 times as hard as somebody who has a company in US or Europe, because the odds don't play in our favor. And we've seen a lot of, one has to do with the macroeconomic environment, 2 has to do with most of the investors who are looking to fund don't have any idea about what works in Africa. Some of them say Africa as if it's a country. They don't even know the divisions of where. So it's very difficult to find a targeted investor who is looking to invest in you at a certain stage. And even if you are lucky to raise even the first round of seed capital, going through pre-seed to do even Series A, that's where the rubber meets the road. If you need anything in excess of $5 million, trust me, you have to fast and pray and make sure that, because they put you under scrutiny, everything, they'll check everything, your financials, transactions, even looking at your audited statements, they will drill you through and through to make sure that what you are presenting to them is the same. Unfortunately, maybe some founder in Europe will just do a handshake, and the next morning there's $5 million in the account. So you have to work 4 times harder than somebody who finds themselves in Silicon Valley. And that idea of Silicon Valley is no more. So stop romanticizing that, oh, okay, once I have a nice idea, we are going to use AI to do ABCD. No, it doesn't work. Less than 2% of startups get funded. Just less than 2%.
I mean, I'm looking at the faces of the people watching you, and they look kind of discouraged. I don't know, you need to say something.
The other thing that I might add there is plan for the long game. It takes a long time. An investment round takes a long time, a year plus. I don't know if you would agree with that assessment. So try to make sure that you have a way of keeping your business going as you are talking to these investors. Otherwise, you will come to the point where it's a chicken and egg problem. You need the money in order to be able to prove that the business works, but they want to see that the business works before they give you the money. So plan for any investment round that you enter into taking a long time, and trying to make sure that you have a way of proving your business until you do that.
What's a long time?
A year plus.
Okay.
A year plus.
Okay, great, awesome. I think, Julian, you want to take a start?
Yeah, I think what I'm about to say is probably different from what they are saying.
Yeah, we love it. Let's go.
I mean, it's along the same tracks of plan for the long term. For us, I made hundreds of calls too. And traveled many times to speak to people. We made a conscious decision at the end of 2023 that when we did our pivot, that we're not raising money. And I think when we made that decision, it was the best decision we made, because instead of being investor ready, we were trying to be business ready and build a real business. I've got friends who have raised 10 million, 20 million, and the company's still shut down. If you're not making revenue, if you don't have customers, if people are not paying and you don't have product market fit, you can raise 100 million if you want. It's still going to shut down. And so I think you need to focus on not getting 1 million customers. You need to focus on getting 10,000 customers, 5,000 customers, paying every single month. That should be the focus. You should focus on people paying from day one. If they're not paying from day one, then maybe they don't like the version of your product. I think these are the questions we need to be asking ourselves, and rethinking what type of lifestyle do you want to live as a founder? Do you want to live the life of chasing investors, which there's nothing wrong with that?
Yeah, hello guys. Thanks so much for the opportunity to ask the question. My name is Abdullah Ahmed. I'm running 2 small startups. I have a key question concerning intellectual property. Oftentimes you have all these foreign companies, fund managers, venture capitals, but then they come to these local markets where a lot of the startups may have bright ideas, good content, but if you share everything, those that have the money can overtake you. So what can you guys share in terms of protection for local SMEs and those entrepreneurs that have really done the work but may not have the capital, and at the same time do not want to be fall prey to some of these opportunities or offers? Thank you.
So a question targeting intellectual property.
Yeah, so the thing is, I think unless you've invented something brand new, like completely brand new, nobody has seen it in this world, fine. But if it's not completely brand new, I don't think people are going to steal your idea like that. Like, it's hard to execute on ideas. It takes time to build anything. And so I don't think people are just going to steal your idea and then spend 3 years trying to build your idea. And even then, they're going to be building a version of your idea. They're not going to be building what you saw in your mind. So I don't think we need to be scared of people stealing our ideas. I know in Ghana we're like, oh, don't tell anybody anything because, like, I don't think it's that deep. I think the world is big. I think there's a lot of ideas, and you'd be surprised that the idea you're thinking about, there's probably 1,000 people that have thought of the same idea. Have you ever done something and then maybe one of your friends or someone said, oh, I thought about that before? There's nothing new under the sun. It drops in a lot of people's minds, but it's the people who actually execute on there who win. I don't think we should limit ourselves and think that because we are on this side of the world and people are on that side of the world and they have more money, they're going to come and steal. No, it's not that deep, you know. So I think you should just focus on building your idea, you know, and speak to as many people as possible. You're not going to raise investment or get a new client, or if you don't speak, if you don't tell people your idea. When we first started, I was telling everybody my idea, every single person, and every time I spoke to somebody, I learned something new to sharpen up my pitch, or something new that they've told me to go and, you know, think about for the idea. So if you don't open your mouth and speak to people, you're not going to make it work. So I think we should take away that fear. I don't think people are coming to Ghana to steal our ideas.
I think it connects well to a point that the professor made about the fact that ideas are cheap, but then persistence and execution is everything. I don't know, on the point about intellectual property and stealing of ideas, you want to tackle that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think he said he nailed the nail right on the head, right? Especially for IT-based business ideas, it's difficult to copyright it, right? I mean, that's the more reason why there's Uber, there is Bolt, there is whatever. Yango, all they out here.
And Shaxi.
Right. I mean, Uber could have said that we started this whole concept of ride-hailing. How come everybody's doing it now? You cannot hold people on to IT-based projects for that matter. And so be open. The more you share, like he rightly said, the more you talk about what you want to do, the fresh ideas you get. Whereas people stay in their rooms until that they are the only person thinking. A young man came to me and said, oh, I've been thinking about this. I live in Koforidua for 3 months and I've stayed in my room. I'm developing this app. And okay, so what does the app do? And then he tells me, oh, so but do you know about this and that and that and that? He has no clue. This same, what he wants to do, there are almost about 5 or 10 versions of similar app doing the same thing. But he thinks that he's the only person young from the university, he's the only person thinking, so he can stay in this corner in Koforidua, stay in the room and think and produce something. No, get out there, talk to people, go to conferences, network, share what you want to do. The more you share, like he said, the more you share, the more new ideas actually get. Don't think about somebody stealing your ideas. In any case, if anybody steals your idea, that person may not be able to implement it the same way you would have done it. Right? So this, for me, that's really, really that much important anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would add to that as well. So our business is software and hardware based. And so for us, as I said, so we've designed all of our own hardware. Our motorcycles, which we get a lot of compliments on, our batteries, our swap stations. Now, I mean, one way we could look at that is, day one we put the motorcycle out on the road, people are taking pictures of it. It's very easy to copy that, right? Well, it's not easy to copy that, but we could, if we wanted to, worry very, very much about who sees the motorcycle, who sees the battery, etc. But that's not what we want. What we want is to get this thing out there and to put it in as many hands as possible. So we cover ourselves as best we can in case somebody copies it. And we're pretty confident that somewhere, at some point, somebody will copy it. But that's essentially the goal. We want to get to the point where it's popular enough that people say, oh, that's a great idea, we should copy that. Good luck copying it. Good luck putting in the grind that we've done to get it to the scale that we've got to. So that's the way we look at it, and I would completely agree. We can't sit on our hands and worry about people copying what we have. If anybody copies what you've done, take it as a compliment and keep it moving.
So I think I just have to. I always tell people it's easier to steal somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend than to steal somebody's idea. Because when you speak to some of these up-and-coming entrepreneurs, they always, when an investor approaches them, you have to sign an NDA, you have to sign this and that. Trust me, nobody's going to sign an NDA. There's a difference between an idea and your secret sauce. The idea is the general one of how it's supposed to work. Your secret sauce is how it works. those are the things that you have to. So for us, for example, we do a lot of credit scoring. I will not list all the 10 data points that I benchmark my credit score on, but I will tell you we do credit scoring. So that is my secret sauce. That you have to protect. How the idea works is what you have to be interested in than the general idea, because everybody has it. Execution is always different. If you take Uber, for example, Uber is perfect before, when a driver is coming to you, you get on-minute notifications. If you are in traffic, Uber can even tell you an accident if you have been involved in an accident. Yango and the rest don't have that. So those are their secret sauce that differentiate them from the other players. So always think about what your secret sauce is, not the general idea of how it's going to work and anybody going to copy that.
Amazing, amazing, wow. A round of applause for our, guest. We still have about 13 minutes to wrap up this session. About 10 minutes. I think we have a question at the back, gentlemen.
All right, thank you so much. This is, I'm Jason Quist, founder of Board and Go. It's an AI travel tech startup. And my question basically... And
nobody stole your idea, right?
I think, quite frankly, I had a lot of anxiety about people stealing my idea until I realized 3 months ago that I'm actually competing with someone else out there. But I realized the main thing is to get your idea out in the hands of your users and iterate as fast as possible, especially as a startup. But my main question is on investors. And I think someone said knowing the right investor that aligns with you. We applied to YC, we applied to many other accelerators, and we got redirected. I hate the word rejection. I prefer to say redirected. And just a month ago, we had an offer. We don't have our MVP out publicly, but we have a private beta users, like 127 people, passengers that fly globally that are trying our application. We got an offer from an investor in Thailand a month ago that said, hey, Jason, I'm going to give you $1.5 million for 65% of your company. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. And he wasn't willing to negotiate or anything. So I was warned by my project manager who's at the World Bank and says, whoever wants to give you an investment or a grant, you should collect a term sheet. So now how do I evaluate investors? Because they're asking me questions. I should have the equal right to ask them questions and do due diligence on them. So how do I do that to protect myself and not allow what happened to Steve Jobs or even Uber happen again?
So the investor wanted 65%. So that's the first red flag already. So it depends on, there are various stages of fundraising and the kind of investors you are going to meet. Daniel mentioned the first part, which is from family, friends, yourself, and fools. So you have to put in your own money. Then you probably do the angel round. So a lot of times you have to know the stage you are in and the fund you are raising and the kind of investors. So an investor should have a VC fund. They can be private angels, they can be home offices, etc. But any investor who you are raising, who you are giving more than 50% of your company to at a very early stage, that's a red flag. Ideally, even if you are raising funds at the early stage, at the first stage, anything between 15 to 20% is ideal. You are raising 500,000 to $1 million. And even depending on the sector you are in. You are in an AI sector, that is the hottest thing now. That's why you apply to YC, I can see that. But unfortunately, YC just takes about 0.5% of the total application. So, and for YC, you have to try about 5 times before you got in. I got rejected by YC 3 times. I ended up at Techstars. So look for alternatives. YC is not the golden child. There are other institutions that are also good. So it depends on the stage you are raising the funds. And so you have to do your own due diligence on investors. When they send you the emails, try and do a research. Do they have a website? Look at their portfolios that they've invested in. Try and speak to some of the portfolio companies. So if an investor says, I don't have any portfolio, they've not done investment before. Maybe they are a new VC fund, but that's also quite a red flag because an investor at that early stage is looking for you to grow. They are taking a bet on you. And once they take 65%, they have controlling stake of your business. You are now working for them and it makes it difficult for you to raise your follow-on funds because any investor who sees your cap table, you give 65% to this person and maybe they gave you 1.5. So imagine you are going to raise 5 million now. How much are you going to give away? You are going to do a down round, which means, and that anybody who's taking 65% is going to put something we call anti-dilution clause in the term sheet. They will tell you, when you are raising your follow-on funds, you have to dilute your shares. Mine, you can't touch it. So that is what they do. They put an anti-dilution clause. And it's terrible. I've seen companies go through a lot of legal gymnastics just to take off. And see, once you have an investor on your cap table, I tell you, it's like a relationship. Until they die or there's a divorce or something, it's very difficult to get rid of them. And sometimes the amount of legal activity that you have to go through to take an investor off your cap table. So imagine you are going to buy back your shares. At whatever percentage you have, times 65 or how much they give to you, you can't even pay that. So always look at the stage. There are various stages that you can raise funds. And at every point in time, the founders should have more than 50% controlling stake of a business. That is where you attract other investors. Once you get to the Series D, E, F, even if you have 15%, at that point you're a unicorn or something, so nobody cares about your stake. But for early stage, try as much as possible to have 50% and above. And anybody who comes in at the angel stage is there to support you, not to exploit you.
Just one last bit of what Francis said. So I think sometimes this thing can be very, very complicated for a young startup to be able to understand. So you may even want to engage external financial advisor to help you advise you what the best way to do. For instance, right now we are raising, we may actually engage PwC to be our financial advisor to help us throughout the process. Because sometimes they may be too complex for you to understand and even bargain and negotiate very, very well into a term that works for you. I know a company in Ghana, in Kenya, where the funders now own less than 5% of the company. And they become more like employees. They work for the company. This company is so huge, they were almost about $200 million in revenue. But yet, they are only 5% of the company. So they basically go to the office as if they are, I don't know what to call them. Right? So it's all began how they brought in initial investors when they were starting. So watch out for that. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So I think for now, still bringing it back to the point about innovation, policy, enabling innovation-friendly environments. Your personal stories around, some challenges with the regulation and policies and how you overcame them, and also how you'd advise, the young ones, who are sitting in your rooms for 30 days, coming up with ideas. I don't know if you can take that. Any challenges that you can share with us?
Yeah, so policies and regulations, it depends on how you look at it. It can be good. It can also be very, very problematic, the way you look at it. Our experience is that you don't always want to wait to finish all the regulated part before you proceed. Because if you want to wait, you may wait for 4 or 5 years before you actually hit the ground running. So just start something. Just start what they want to do. Let the regulator come and chase you. And then you negotiate. I mean, this may not be at this, but from our experience, most of the regulators, also particularly in Ghana, are very, very slow to respond. You send them an email, it takes 2 years, no response. You send a WhatsApp follow-up, nobody responds. You call them, they say, oh, I just saw the email, I'm going to respond to you the next day. That response still will not come. Right? You are a business, you are also competing against time and competing against the ratings that you have. So I will always say that take the initiative, start whatever you want to do. When they come out, sit down and negotiate and what the best way forward. Particularly in agri-tech space, there isn't a lot of regulations that are out there, but now they are coming. I mean, the government is bringing up the ICT policy for agriculture. There is all kinds of things that are coming up, even for weather forecasting is coming up, right? And so you want to wait till they are finished. You will never get anything started. I will say that whenever you still are very strong and very hard that you want to start something, get ahead and do it. When they come later on, you talk to them.
All right, great. So I think the most exciting part about today's session is coming up. That's the master classes and the live pitch. So just make sure that should start somewhere in the next 5 minutes. It's actually going to start sometime now. I think the last question, take 30 seconds on it. I mean, you have started locally, you want to scale up. You are in multiple countries. Let's talk to us about scaling and how maybe like you've gone about it or how you plan on possibly going about it. 30 seconds.
Well, I guess maybe there's 2 points that I could focus on, which is to follow up on Daniel's point about regulation and the positives and negatives there. So one thing that I could definitely see is, for example, duty exemptions on electric vehicles coming into the country would be very useful for us. And Ghana has made a lot of positive steps in that direction, but not for two-wheelers, which is where we operate. And so, but again, we can't wait for that to happen. We have to keep moving. And then lobby for that position to be taken up as we go. So exactly what Daniel said. Start the idea, keep it going, and then worry about the regulators later. The other thing that your follow-up question was around scaling. Yeah, so we've taken the position that creating an EV ecosystem is a lot of work, and so we've taken the position that we're not going to do all of it ourselves. We've designed motorcycles, but we're not going to distribute themselves. So we have a partner in Ghana. That partner is Mohinani Group, who we have put in touch with our manufacturers in China, and they will now be bringing in the motorcycles and selling them. And then what we do is provide the energy through the swapping network. We could take the decision to try and do all of it ourselves. We want to build the motorcycles, design the motorcycles, sell the motorcycles ourselves, but that's not our core business. We don't sell motorcycles. So we lean on somebody who knows how to do that. We lean on somebody who knows how to install swap stations. We lean on people who are experts in their own field. We bring our own expertise to the table, and that allows us to grow a lot faster.
So I think for scale, when most entrepreneurs hear about scale, they think of, oh, I need to move in multiple countries at the same time. So you can do a product scale. So whatever software you are working on, you can scale that within the area where you are working in, and then you can have geographical scale, which is mostly, in most cases, try and master the market you are in. Spend at least a minimum 4 or 5 years understanding your market, because there's always there's a big market wherever you find yourself. Some people, when they get 10,000 users, okay, I want to go to Burkina Faso. 5,000 users, I want to go to Kenya. You are spreading yourself thin, using all the resources, because scale is very expensive, especially geographical scale. You need to raise capital to be able to do that. And even the ecosystem is different. So we scaled to Burkina Faso after 5 years working in Ghana, and it's a Francophone country. Even though we were taught French in school, we didn't take it serious. So now imagine having to do everything in French. We had to hire a staff who speak French, do translations in French. Even you are not even assured whatever the translator is saying is correct or not, because you don't even understand it. At the point you have to use Google AI to listen to some of the translations, etc. It's very difficult, it costs a lot of money. So one, make sure you understand your local market, have strong presence, develop a playbook, and then you can use that to be able to scale to other regions. But don't do that immediately you do 1, 2 success activities. Make sure that you have a lot of roots wherever you start from before you move to other new markets.
For me, when it comes to scaling, I think people should focus on your first 1,000 customers, your first 2,000 customers, 3,000 customers, making sure that they're paid. A lot of startups that I speak to and I see, they tell me they've got 100,000.
It's been too hard. There's a lot of men. Yeah. So even as they try and get the screen ready, are you aware of the criteria?
Yes, I will.
So all the best. You have 5 minutes. I'm just going to time you. Let me know if you're ready.
Ready.
You ready? Great. 1 second. So 5 minutes starts now. Let's go.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Precious. I work with the Planet Shop Ghana. So we are basically into printing, branding, and packaging. But I think one of our utmost services that we push forward is the packaging. So we are looking at creating an environment whereby in the near future there wouldn't be the use of plastics in our society. So we are looking at pushing forward production whereby food packaging, which is one of the mainstreams of using plastic, is being cut off. So currently we are into production of paper bags, food boxes, mostly patronized by restaurants, and then after they package the food in the boxes, then they proceed to package it in a paper bag instead of the poly bags as well. And also we are looking at moving to that era. So but in the near future, there wouldn't be the need to use plastic in packaging of some items like even water, bread, and then anything that involves the use of plastic so that the environment is well sustained and all that. Aside that, we are also looking at projecting your brand. So we are into the services of doing pull-up backdrops and all that, just to put your brand out there, because it is very essential to bring out your brand. Because I think when we all got here, we can see the projections over here, and then that was the first point to know what is going on, or give us an idea of what is about to happen. So it is always essential to put out your brand, and we are one company that always look out to project your brand, whether through t-shirts, lacquers, diaries, pens. We are looking at helping you, assisting you to always project that as well. So basically that is what we do.
So you did that in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Okay. Great. Any feedback from you? That's nice. Round of applause for her.
So I want to find out if in the market or in your space you find other competitors doing the same thing that you're doing already, and how long you have been doing this. So that's what I mean.
Okay, yes. So we have a lot of competitors. I think it is a trend that is gradually becoming the norm. So you find a lot of companies doing paper bags, and it's usually branded for maybe if it's a birthday party, a wedding, or a funeral, the box is being branded. Yes.
So is that what makes you special? Because that's the question is, what if everybody's doing it? Why should I choose you? What makes you special?
Okay, all right. So I'll talk about customer satisfaction and swift response. So we always look out. There are sometimes that production takes quite an instance whereby you want your brand or your picture on it. We move to the alternative of just getting a sticker instead of printing the actual card that has the branded image on it.
So is your unique selling point the fact that you can personalize the packaging?
Please come again.
That you can personalize the packaging. You
Yes.
add people's personal details to it.
Yes.
So that sounds like a really good, or potentially that sounds like a bag, and lots of people do paper bags, but we can maybe fulfill it quicker. Whereas if you're like, well, actually everybody does paper bags, but we do it, we can make it personal, we can add your brand. That's a more compelling point of differentiation. So I would go bigger on that, because you kind of go, oh, we do paper bags, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then we can brand it if you want. Whereas I'd go with the problem is waste packaging. There are lots of people doing bags now, but nobody is doing it where you can order it with your own brand. So you've got all of the right messages, but just not quite in the right order. Sorry, that's not a question. That's more a question stroke comment. I don't know if you...
Okay, great.
Think about marketing. I think you're in a marketing business, yeah, rather than the bags, because like you said, everybody's doing the bags. So I think you should really think about marketing and how you can stand out from everybody else. But I think you're actually in the marketing business.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. A round of applause for her, our first person to pitch. So I have, is it Christian? Christian Delonge? Is Christian ready? Is Christian ready? I mean, if you're here and you're ready, just raise your hand and come up front. I know there are those. You're ready? You don't need a projector, do you? Well, currently, so if you don't, please come up and then pitch. Great. That's the mic right there.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Nia Ade Adefio, and I'm the founder of Hask Technologies. So Hask Technologies. So we are an agri-tech company that manufactures agricultural machinery and also provides software solutions. And we specialize in cocoa post-harvest technologies. So our company, Hask Technologies, has developed an agricultural machine that helps women and smallholder cocoa farmers who suffer from callus injuries, spinal injuries, as well as high cost of labor, break their cocoa pods using an automated mechanism. So our flagship product is an automatic mobile cocoa pod breaking machine that separates the cocoa beans from the husk and placenta, which allows the farmer increase their productivity by about 700%, reduce their reliance on labor by about 85%, and then totally eliminates also all forms of farm hazards. And the best part of our technology is that it's powered by lithium batteries, which makes us the only farm equipment manufacturers in Africa that power machines with the lithium batteries. Compared to our competitors, our machine has capacity to break over 7,000 pods per hour, It's also it's designed to fit into the bucket of a tricycle, which makes it very accessible to different farm terrains. And it's very easy to build, maintain, and operate as well. So far, we've had some major partnerships. We've got some support from Care International, South Family Foundation, NEIP, the MasterCard Foundation, as well as other institutions. The current ongoing partnership we have is with the Esunafo North Cooperative and then the Cocoa Kiapa Cooperative, who together have over 120,000 cocoa farmers. So in this partnership, they've made requests for pre-orders for our machines, valued at around 800,000 USD. Currently, we're working with Access Bank. We've approached Access Bank to provide equipment financing for these cooperatives to be able to purchase our machines. Yeah, so basically what we are doing this is that over a century of producing cocoa in Africa, this technology is still non-existent on the Ghanaian market. Also, there's also constantly increasing use of child labor in cocoa farming. And then also there's lack of employment in the rural communities, which is as a result causing calamity and all sorts of environmental degradation. And this is why we decided to solve this problem using our technology. Thank you. Basically, correct. So what happens is that because there's no technology, farmers have two options to break their cocoa pods. Either they form a communal group where 14 farmers, averagely about 14 farmers come together to break their cocoa pods. And usually when it happens that one farmer misses out, nobody goes nobody will help them do this. So, and then secondly, if they don't involve communally, that means they'll have to hire.
So that they can actually ask you more questions in detail. So at the beginning, you want to be remembered, this guy is solving that, this is what they've done so far, this is their solution, and this is what they're looking for. And then later on, we'll have meetings where we'll go into details and understand your mission and all the other stuff. So I would say try and look at your pitch again in terms of just making it clear, problem, solution, traction, this is what we're looking for. And then we'll go for that. I guess this is probably advice for everybody. So you're trying to get me to speak to you longer in another meeting, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
But well done. I think you got some good traction.
Yeah, you would have loved it more.
So, kudos for doing that. I completely agree, right? It's the story, and you've got an amazing story there, which is, let me introduce you to the name of this farmer who I'm helping, right? Let me just tell you about the life of a cocoa farmer. It's a freaking nightmare. You grow all this stuff, it's difficult to process, you have to buy in labor, right? So immediately I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea, right? So it's introducing it by using that story, and is absolutely right, because all you can really do in 2 minutes is make us interested enough to go, wow, I've got loads of questions, I'm still not sure how this is going to work, but I do want to talk to you afterwards, and I do want you to send me the deck. So I think for you, there's a really interesting story in there. And you mentioned farm workers and calluses, but it seems that the real benefit is productivity, really. It's about helping the cocoa farmer to produce more and get more value out of a crop. Start with a story, I think.
Okay, I also do agree with what they both said. So I think I also want to see your problems, what you are facing currently. I want to hear about what the challenges that you're having with this. This is a great product you have put out there. What's the current challenge? What's your ask? And have that story tie into all that you're asking for at the pitch deck. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Come on to that. The next person.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayi Ebenezer, and I'm a medical laboratory scientist and a team member of LabMate. The healthcare sector has been a very crucial industry in the world, which is solely on taking care of patients. And as a result of that, the medical equipment used in the hospitals or in the healthcare sector is very reliant on the patient's results and outcome. So for this reason, we have scaled up to bring about a mobile app that can be used to troubleshoot, calibrate, and maintain medical equipment. We realized how effective it is to have a mobile app or an app that can be used to calibrate the medical equipment in order to help enhance good and fine results for patients. That's hence helping to show the true reflection of problems the patient is having within. So what we brought about is the app that can be used in order to help in patient diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment of diseases. So this is the idea or the app that we have in place for patient treatment and diagnosis. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yep. But in terms of your feedback,
Do you want to? Yeah.
I like it. It was just straight to the point, easy to understand. My question, and my biggest question is, the current equipment that is out there, do you know how many of these equipments can your app connect to? So is there APIs for these equipment? How are you going to do that?
Okay, so currently we have various departments in the laboratory. We have the serology department, hematology, chemical pathology, microbiology, blood banking, and the rest. So we are concentrated on medical equipment used in the laboratory first. So after solving this, because we know that the laboratory results of every patient is very crucial, and the laboratory results helps the parts also in the health sector as well.
Okay, have you started already? Is it
Yes,
something?
please.
Yeah. So how did you approach getting started? Did you start with one laboratory with the equipment, or have you started in multiple? Like, how have you started?
Okay, so during our prototype testing, we had a session that's testing with Noguchi Memorial Institute. We also have one with Lekma Hospital. We had one with Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and we also had one in my MES Diagnostic Center. So through these ones, we were able to have feedbacks from the various laboratory staffs, how the app will help them and how it will. We have the freemium. That's free. So we'll put down some time for people to use the app for free. After that, then we come to the premium. So you have to subscribe and pay some amount of money, either annually or monthly, for you to get access to the app. So that's how.
And launch the premium feature.
Okay, so we are going to have 12 months. That's 1 year. 1 year of freemium. That's, you can use it for 1 year. After that, you have to subscribe for the premium.
Can't you test that though? Can't you just say, launching soon premium, like sign up here to see? Because that's the key assumption, isn't it? The key assumption is that yes, I value to use this when it's free, but in order for it to be a sustainable business, you're assuming that people will pay for it. So can you put that option in front of customers just to kind of A/B test it, like will they actually click and sign up for premium, or click to find out more about premium? It's an interesting one. I see this a lot with founders, which is we can't test it for another 6 to 12 months, whereas actually you could probably test that quite quickly. So you could test it without even building the premium features, because you're just saying coming soon, look at these amazing features we're adding, click here to find out more. It's an interesting way where you can get a bit more insight from the market before like crossing your fingers for a year and then kind of launching and hoping that people sign up. I think it's super cool what you're doing. I love the fact it's quite niche. You're focusing on sort of hospitals or medical equipment. So I think what you're doing is really, really cool. It's just that key assumption, which is people will pay for it.
Okay, great.
Now, 60% of all missed flights, per our research and survey, is because of poor time management. In the US alone, there's been about 50,000 delays and cancellations just in the month of January and February. Over 1,300 flights had to be canceled or diverted because of the Heathrow fires that happened a week ago. Right. It's a very huge problem. Why should a passenger like yourselves go all the way to the airport? And because the airline, certain airlines decide not to communicate upfront with you, maybe an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours beforehand, you get stranded at the airport, waste precious time, precious money, taking an Uber, and have to return back home. We're solving this problem for over 100 million passengers globally with our AI concierge called Board and Go. It's more than just an app. We help passengers mitigate cancellations, delays, and poor time management through proactive notifications with our B2B connection with the partnership with airlines, airports, and lounges. We're able to leverage certain platforms to actually say, hey, a day before or 6 hours before, we can tell you that your flight is going to be canceled, your flight is going to be delayed, and not only that, we take action for you. A typical example, you're flying from here to, let's say, Paris, and your flight is supposed to leave at 11 p.m., but check-in is obviously, let's say, around 8 p.m. it closes. But then there's a cancellation. We would let you know that, hey, our AI agent will call you, your flight has been canceled, there's no need for you to go to the airport. That's a complete time saver. Now, in the event where there's a change in time and you have to go earlier than usual, our AI agent will still call you and say, can I book an Uber for you to the airport so you can save your time? Imagine going on the Uber app, Bolt, Yango, and spending minutes now looking for a ride to the airport, confirming with the driver, having a conversation with the driver, etc. That's 10 minutes time you've wasted when you could have been packing or doing something more important. So with this, we're able to empower our passengers globally, save time, and for them to do actually what they need to do, putting their entire flying journey on autopilot. So that is what Board and Go is doing, and we currently have 127 people now that testing our application, IVP. We're rolling out 2 builds, one tonight, and an updated version over the weekend for other people to use. In Q2, we'll be expanding to serve approximately 10,000 people globally while we still continue with feedback. Thank you.
On the dot, the feedback.
Yeah, really slick pitch, really, really good. So I know all about this because we had numerous people flying out from London when Heathrow went down. That was a really stressful day. So I guess the question I've got is so I already get a notification. So in that case, I see it on the news, and then you get a notification a couple of hours later. So how much more notice will your app give me compared to just waiting for the airline to tell me? Like, what's the kind of difference?
Right. Like Emirates, Qatar Airways, especially the Gulf Airlines, you most likely get more lengthy notifications. But with the majority of other airlines, the delays are usually between 6 hours to 12 hours. So we'll let you know way beforehand on that time.
So the day before, or what's the kind of notice period that you're
We'll let you
give
know
me?
at exactly the time. For example, the delay happens 7 hours before. At that particular time, we're going to let you know the reason. If, for example, your aircraft had to make a diversion or something has happened to the aircraft, we know on our platform, and way before the airline notified. And if we're going to go with a basic subscription model, we're going to fail and we'll be eaten up. So our B2B platform is what helps us to create. We're more of like an intelligence network in the aviation system, combining flights, partnering with flights, airlines, airports, and airport lounges as well, to give even economy passengers the power to do more than they can.
So do the travelers pay or the airlines pay?
Travelers do pay, and with a subscription, which is between we have a free tier, a $10 tier, and a $30 tier. So for our as a delay or cancellation, we'll actually notify the conference you're going to and tell them that, hey, it's not so-and-so is not able to attend, and before you even land, we would have booked an Uber for you to take you to a particular hotel that's relatively cheap, and so it's ready, the reservation is ready.
But that's not about missed flights, that's about your own personal travel.
Yes, so it's not about missed flights, it's a whole journey.
We anchored on missed flights. So they were like, oh, well, I got a test. But it's almost like that's the thing, like to your point, it's bigger than missed flights.
It is bigger than missed flights. Yes.
So I think let's work on your story because...
Starts now. Let's
Thanks.
go.
Yeah, so my name is Victor. I needed the screen, but then I'll spend like the first 30 seconds to describe it and then the next one to show you, if you don't mind. All right, so I'm Dixon from All AI, And we basically, we've built a platform that helps you take advantage of multiple LLMs and also cushions you from hallucinations. So hallucinations is when you ask ChatGPT a question and then it gives you a wrong answer, like confidently. So more like how many hours are in strawberry, and then it tells it 5 hours or 2 hours. So we've built a platform that helps you leverage multiple LLMs from different providers, at the same time protecting you against hallucinations and bias. For instance, some of the models are skewed towards like a certain school of thought in political spheres, but then if you are using multiple of them, you tend to be cushioned because you may have no idea about what you're asking about, and the model says, okay, this is right, but maybe it's right based on a perspective. So I'll spend the next one. I made 3 prompts. If you can just pass this around, if you don't mind. Yeah, so I made 3 prompts, and what we brought the models together, and we actually allow you to merge them as one. So you can take GPT-4 and then Grok from different providers, put them together as one. Yes, it's an AI method called assembly. It's very, very technical. So that's what I wanted to show you, so that you can picture it. So 3 prompts. The first was just making them work individually, and then the second was just making them work together. And then the third was an analysis. So you can see the differences. It's like a comparative analysis of what happened. So briefly, that's it. Yeah, so the first prompt was hello, they working independently. The second was tell me what the pitch is. They working simultaneously, like together. And the last one was we comparing what they did. So basically that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
You're done.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you. Good pitch. I've got 2 questions for you.
Great.
What does this solve?
Hallucinations and bias.
For who?
For researchers. So we actually built it for researchers, students, and now content creators. You can create content. Yeah.
Right. I think we need to understand where we are with AI and ChatGPT, Grok, and all of that. When the internet first came out, where we had like Yahoo search, Google search, that was just a search engine. The opportunity we have now is to create what we call AI wrappers, like a wrapper product, right? On a wrapper product, if you showed your average customer what you just showed us, they probably wouldn't get it, right? But if you had a website on top of that and said, for researchers, blah, 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 this solves your problem, straight to the point, you could probably have 10,000 customers tomorrow paying $1.99 or $2.99.
We do have a website.
Yeah.
I showed you the app. We do have a homepage. We have customers, we have revenue, we have people paying. So
you should have started your pitch from there.
Okay, it was just 5 minutes. I just wanted to go straight to the point.
Because we're not technical, and the average person in the world is not technical. So you need to start your pitch from how it solves a problem for somebody quickly, and then
finally.
You get there.
Okay.
Is this all for you?
Oh yeah. I wanted to show you guys. So
okay.
Then I think
we've seen it, but yeah, I think
will tell us stories of Africa, the great exploits of people like Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, and the rest. So we were learning through these stories. They were building confidence in us and causing us to appreciate our culture. Today, children are still learning, right? But they are learning from stories that are not their own. Most of the time, the content they consume in school or at home are Western content or content that will reflect their daily experiences. And from our research, we got to realize that children learn better when they can relate with the content they learn with. Because of that, we've built the Muna Kalati app. It's an Afrocentric digital platform that has localized learning content in the format of ebooks, audiobooks, and animated stories. They can take quizzes. They can learn local languages as well. Think Gan, Hausa, Twi, and Ewe. And we are also having access to the Francophone countries because we started in Cameroon and now we're in Ghana. We've been operating for over 7 years. We also have a desktop version of our app where children can use it in schools to learn and all of that. We have about 11,000 children in our reach. We launched the app a couple of weeks ago, so we are still in the onboarding process. So one of our we also participated in quite some number of incubator programs, and also we've been able to reach a number of parents, about 200 of them, to do a survey to get to realize that they actually need a solution. We are running a hybrid business model where for the animated contents and then the audiobooks come at a subscription rate. And for the ebooks, we do a one-time purchase. When the user purchases it, they have it in their library, right? So that is what we are doing. We are looking forward to building a platform where African children can build confidence and courage from their own stories, right? They can tell their own stories and find value in where they are coming from and their culture, so that we don't end up having a generation of African children who want close to nothing to do with their continent. Yes, thank you.
Nice. Okay. Okay, great. Extra forms for the judges. Extra forms for the judges. Extra forms. Yes, please go on.
Okay. Yeah. So I think you have a great idea. It's good for locals to, connect to their own kind of knowledge. We need to improve how we develop based on local content. So I want to always connect what you're doing to revenue. How do you think this, in the long term, will make a lot of revenue for your company? Yeah.
Thank you so much. So when it comes to revenue, what we discovered is that we have quite a number of books, that localized books, the quality or a secure distribution platform to sell them. And already, education as we used to know it is swiftly moving from the traditional learning method to the digitalized learning method. And Africa also, the mobile penetration rate is high now. So most parents are actually giving access to their kids to have reading content online. But most of the time, you get to realize that they are either on Amazon Kindle, use Scribe, or other platforms that have foreign content. So we realize that if they are looking for local content, but they don't have a place where they can find this local content there, so if you can showcase this platform to them, you can migrate customers from that platform onto our platform to gain revenue. Where we provide them a commission-based model. So when you bring your content on our platform, you have 70% and we have 30%.
Okay.
So as the users are patronizing your content, then the revenue will be shared over there.
And how do you market, because there's so many people that could take advantage of this, how do you market it? Because it's like, do you go through schools? Like, how do you actually get the word out there?
Yeah, great. So the content is going to be from two sources. One from Marketplace, one from us. We are going to make our content as well. That's why currently we need funding, because one animated content for like 5 minutes is like $2,000. You get it, it's quite expensive to make. So the content from us will be for free for the kids, but content from other providers would be other subscription rates.
So you just said producing animated content is expensive.
It's very expensive.
You might want to look at adding somebody on your team who already knows how to do it.
Come again?
You should look at adding somebody onto your team who knows an animator.
An animator, yes. We've started conversations around that. We're currently speaking to some of them, and most of them actually want to create the content for you at
like a salary instead of
or give them equity in the business. Give them a piece of equity in the business.
But do you think if they join the business, like monthly payments, that will work? I was thinking we work on a project based, right?
Well, he suggested something with the
equity. I don't think you need to pay them anything. You need to give them equity
in
the business.
Okay.
And explain the long-term vision of what you're trying to do. They will join.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it costs you nothing.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then I think you should think about your content living on other platforms, right? So it doesn't have to live just on your platform.
Okay.
It can be a social media platform. It can live on, I don't know, it can be on TV.
Okay.
It can be anywhere. But there's different ways in which because the mission is to get people to learn from local content, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that doesn't have to be just on your platform.
Okay.
Right? If that's the mission, it can be done in multiple ways.
Then please, we are building a project that we've called the Cool Carrier. And then we are intending to revolutionalize and then to transport the vaccine carriers technology. We are aiding in revolutionizing and then transportation of smart cooling technology. And then we are intending to building vaccine carrier that uses smart cooling technology instead of the one that we have been having now, which is made with one hand-sided end. It has been using by ice packs instead of electricity and battery packs to aid in vaccine transportation. And then with these recent carriers, we are having issues with vaccine carriers, which has been wasting our vaccines and spoilage of vaccines. And then we are looking at, with our vaccines, it has with these recent nurses that are on board, with the vaccine transportation, they use these ice packs instead of air very efficient. And then it's burning energy transmissions and then, sorry.
Keep going, man, keep going.
So, as I was saying, with our recent nurses, they are having vaccine carriers. The vaccine carrier that they are using, it's having ice packs. Do you get it? And then this ice packs is not really efficient to hold the vaccine systems in Ghana here. So we are building this project, and this project is to monitor the real-time vaccine temperatures and then to also make it more efficiency and then to reduce the workload of the vaccines. As well, when the nurses are carrying the vaccines to their transportation or to their aiding to sector for vaccines and other stuff, they place it on one higher side, which is also not effective, and then it distorts their weight and everything, and that delays the temperature. This plateau mode, we were designing or using any other material to instead of the plateau mode to make it more efficiency and then to aid in more transportation of the vaccine carrier to the neighboring and urban and rural areas. So if there could be any advice being made on this vaccine carrier, we would be very happy. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, please go on.
Okay, so I want to talk about two things, right? Yeah?
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, so two things. One is on your pitch, and the two is on the idea, right? You see, I guess when we're preparing for a pitch, sometimes we're nervous, right? And in Ghana, we do a lot of chew and pour, right? Chew and pour is not good. If this is your business and you know every detail about the business, right? You don't need to memorize the script. Or you can just give us the script and we'll read it ourselves, right? What we want to know is what you think about your idea, right? And why we should understand this idea. But if you give us a script, you lost me, right? That's the first thing. So let's look at the pitch and how we can make the pitch a bit better. But the idea, I just looked at the image, and I looked at the image for 5 seconds, and I knew what you were doing in 5 seconds by looking at the image, then listening to you speak. Do you understand? I think it's a great idea. If you never showed me that image, I wouldn't have known what you were speaking about. Does that make sense? So from my understanding, you are creating the backpack to reduce vaccine waste.
Yes, apparently we're looking at 3 things with the vaccine system now, and then what you are bringing. With the first one, we are looking at the weight. With the second one, we are looking at portability. You see the old ones that we're having, it's mostly one pack. Right. It has one bearing on tightness on one part of the shoulder, and then it uses ice packs instead of maybe efficient 2. Right. So it doesn't sustain the vaccine for a longer period of time. Right. You get it? And
Hi, my name is Frederick Sobe, founder for Zain Organic Cosmetics. We are into the production of organic beauty and skincare products with a key emphasis of using tomatoes to produce soaps and body oils as a means of helping to address post-harvest losses. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the UKGCC Workshop Challenge. I mean, coming here to meet other entrepreneurs and people who are doing great things helps to inspire us and then push us to do much better. And we are very into the policy of helping to improve innovation using agri and agri solutions. I believe that this platform will help us to enhance what we do and also connect with like minds to be able to help push the nation's agenda for youth employment and job creation. I mean, UGCC's partnership with the government is a great thing, and we look forward to the challenge to be part of it. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So I'm Vivian Mensah-Dogbache from MDF West Africa, and coming for this program has been very insightful for me and very educative. It has been good because we came as stakeholders to help solve the problems that we are facing in Ghana. And I think this program is going to go a long way if we continue coming together to support our SMEs. Thank you.
Hello, so my name is Elina. I'm the brain behind Ellie's Oven Cakes and Pastries. I was invited for this program today, and I think it has been an eye-opener for me. For me, it has mainly been a place for inspiration for me to learn new things and be blown away by the things that people are doing to create very innovative solutions to agri-businesses. And I'm very glad I came here. I have been very enlightened. Thank you.
My name is Elikem Aka. I'm with IIT Consortium, and I'm happy to be here. I've learned a lot from the programs that have been ongoing right from the very beginning. The minister or the representative from the ministry came out with some of the opportunities that are out there, starting with the fact that there are a lot of opportunities in terms of raw materials that are needed. There are gaps that need to be filled.
right to the talks where we learn from industry experts. And so I have really enjoyed the whole sessions. We've learned a lot, and I'm sure that the industry is also picking from what we are doing and the impact that we will eventually have. And so I am grateful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. Once again, UKGCC, you've done very well. Thanks.
So my name is Alex Akpade. I'm into BSF farming. This program is very educative, very informative. I think we've learned a lot what is going on in the business sector, or the things that we need to do to make our businesses investor ready, and how to do the right things to attract investors, and the way when investors are coming, the things that we should look out for so that we will not end up giving out majority share in our businesses. And then the networking aspect of it, I think for me that is it. We've met a lot of people that can help us in our businesses to scale up, and the education, the things that we will need to do. I think it is very educative, and I would love to experience more of that. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is George Magnete, and I'm the CEO of GEM Industrial Solutions Limited. I really appreciated this workshop. It allowed me to really tap into how to pursue my intellectual property objectives and strategies, as well as look at how I wanted to take next steps in commercialization. So I'm very grateful to the UKGCC, and I look forward to future events, and particularly the opportunity to participate in the upcoming roadshow.
I really enjoyed myself here at the event. I think this is an invaluable one. The first thing I learned how to do with the investment readiness and what you need to do to be prepared for investment, right? And one key thing that was told was that 100% of zero is zero. So what investors or what funders need to do is get prepared for the investment phase of their business. You don't just get up and look for investments pitching everywhere, but make sure that you are at least executing, because ideas are cheap, as they actually said it, but implementation is very key. So that's what I'm taking for my team. We are going to be more keen on the execution part of our business, and later on start looking for investment that will help us. And the networking has also been great, and the food is also great as well. Thank you so much.
So my name is Nia Adefio, and I'm the founder of Husk Technologies. We are an agri-tech company that manufactures agricultural machinery and provides software solutions. This program has been an eye-opener. Typically, when they call for applications, we just apply online. But this time around, we had opportunity to offer live pitch sessions, and also we offered capacity training, which is actually the first of its kind. But best part of it is the other opportunities that comes with this program itself, with the funding aspects to help innovators like us to be able to commercialize our products. So this has been a really, really good program for us, and we're looking forward to the opportunities that it has for us.
Hello, Elikem. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you too?
Me, I'm tired, but I'm good. I'm feeling blessed. So to start with, you've been at the session all day. I'm sure you've had so many questions asked that you've been asked so many questions, and you've also had a chance to ask some questions. But I think my first question to you is, what sector are you in, actually? I think that's a good place to start.
Okay, I'm actually in the financial technology space. We serve both banks and then MNOs. We are in a B2B space for now. Mobile money operators, business to business, B2B space, yes. So that's what I mean, yeah.
I knew B2B, Mom, but I just wanted you to explain the acronym. So if I wanted to join the fintech space and do something similar to you, what advice would you give me? I've just come out of university. I'm interested in joining that sector. What advice would you give me?
Okay, I'll take this input from one of the advices that came during the course, and I do agree with them. So when you come out, it's good to first find yourself some mentorship or join a company and see how the terrain is before you launch into the market. If you have a great idea that no one has done, a novel idea, you can go ahead and then test the waters with feedback, prototypes, MVPs, And if you do have traction, then I can say, okay, go full blown. But if you are starting out and you're uncertain about the space, it will be best to join a company, learn, and then from then on you can pivot and start something. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's really helpful advice. So, how do you know if your idea is novel?
I start with pain points, right? If customers are complaining about something in particular for so long and that has not been responded to, so find those cracks, find those feedback that keeps coming in, and usually it will be like there's no way to do this, or you are making this stressful for us. It could be negative, and those are key opportunities that you can turn around and find novel ideas. More times when you want to start with a novel idea, you might have to invest in more capital, or you need seed funding, or you need more resources to get that started. But it's always good to find, let's say, how would I call it, a linking factor, something that's close enough in idea to something that already exists. So improve upon it, and then maybe later you can go full blown and say, okay, I got this. We can crack this. Yeah.
And finally, final question: where do you personally look for new innovation? When you are not creating something innovative yourself, where are you looking for some of these ideas?
Yeah, so I went for a workshop, so I'm already giving out the answers. So workshops are great sources where you would hear of real challenges that are out there and take every problem as an opportunity to build something, for example. So at the workshop, they gave how to generate ideas or even your goals, just starting from there. And they use 3 key pointers. First, think of an ideal case where you have all resources at your disposal. There's no restriction to what you can do. So think into the future and see, what can I do? If I had all resources at my disposal, write down maybe the top 7 things that you would do. Then go to the opposite side and say, what are assuming I have a terminal disease, I'll die in the next 6 months, which is not going to happen, God forbid. And so what are the key things I would do within these 6 months? And ideas will start coming as well. Now then you go to reality check and say, between the ideal case where I'm dreaming versus where it's critical, short-term solutions, what does my current situation allow me to perform? So you are looking at between the reality and then between the idea, then come to the middle ground and fish out those ideas. So that's one way by which you can actually start generating ideas for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Final question: are you going to apply for the challenge program?
I think it's a great opportunity for those that are upcoming. I would love to. I think in the future I would look for an opportunity like that. I have some great ideas, and I think that soon enough we'll begin to pilot them, and once they are viable, we'll share feedback for them to also be part of the challenge. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've just wrapped up the UKGCC, UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce Innovation Workshops for the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce Grand Challenge Program. And these workshops were designed to help us co-create the challenge statements so that we could hear from the ministry, hear from industry leaders in the agricultural and energy sectors, hear what their challenges are, hear what the outlook is for the sector, before coming together as innovators, entrepreneurs, researchers to come up with solutions for some of these challenges. There was a lot of great advice and great snippets from this program. We had panel discussions, fireside chats, master classes, and an opportunity to actually engage entrepreneurs who once had an idea and have been able to turn it into a successful business in the sector. So it's been a great day full of lots of learning. There's a lot of information that came out of today that would be very helpful to you, and we'll do our best to share as much of that as possible. The challenge program will open next month, so people are invited to apply. There'll be an online application form, and once you apply, candidates will be shortlisted, and shortlisted participants will have an opportunity to pitch. And the grand prize is an opportunity to participate in a UK roadshow. So imagine taking your idea around and sharing it to people in another country, opening yourself up to newer opportunities, newer networks, and all the other good stuff that comes with that. So thank you for being part of today's workshop, and we look forward to seeing you participate in the challenge program.